Sports, home to the World Series, Super Bowl 39, and in February, the 2005 Daytona 500. Fox Sports, celebrating 10 years of excellence.
This is Talladega, the fastest track on the NASCAR circuit. Ernest Hemingway defined courage as grace under pressure. Today, courage, grace, and pressure will all be on display when we go racing as star drivers square off against those searching to make a name for themselves, including Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he battles his protege, Martin Truex Jr. We welcome you to Sweet Home, Alabama, and the Aaron's 312 on Fox, brought to you by Aaron's. Let Aaron's drive your dream home today. Big crowd on hand, 90,000 getting ready to go racing. Before we speed ahead, let's pause and head trackside for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the United States Marine Corps presents today's colors. Please remain standing as Dale Beaver from Motor Racing Outreach delivers today's invocation.
Let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for gathering us under your great sky here today in Alabama. Thank you for the sunshine and for your love upon us. We ask your blessings upon the fans and the participants in these events today. For Christ's sake, amen.
Now let's welcome Holly Marie Mosley from Mobile, Alabama, as she sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we'd watch was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you, Holly, and thank you to the B-52 out of Barksdale Air Force Base. Give them all a round of applause.
A strong show of patriotism as the drivers gear up and get ready to go. 312 miles. They'll be racing up to speeds of 190 miles per hour, and at that speed, the slightest mistake can be big trouble. And the drivers get ready to go. Restrictor plate racing Busch style here at Talladega, our corporate headquarters, the Hollywood Hotel. We're parked in the infield as we continue to take the pre-race show to the races. We go to where the races are to try to bring you closer to the action. Part of a big weekend here on Fox, along with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, and the Hollywood Hotel. It's where America gathers every week for racing. Nice to see you. And
good seeing you.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. said this race makes him a little bit nervous. It's even more dangerous than normal. What is he saying there?
What he's trying to say right now, Chris, is the fact that because of this type of aero package these cars are running today, you can take a rookie, somebody with limited experience, and he can run up there with these veterans. And a lot of times that can get you into a lot of trouble. I mean, we've seen it here at Talladega time and time again. What happens is somebody makes a little mistake, and the end results can be catastrophic.
Last year, it was lap 9 in this race. 18 cars were involved, and it certainly affects who finishes, who survives. If it's not Junior, who's the guy to watch today for the win?
And in the garage area, you're telling me Michael Waltrip.
All right, and in the championship points race, Michael Waltrip in the lead. Also, keep an eye on Kyle Busch, driver of the 5 car. This is his first Busch Series race here. Kyle has said he's not a fan of restrictor plate racing. And also, Jason Keller, happy birthday to him, celebrated his 34th yesterday. Tracks like Talladega, Daytona can be difficult on guys who don't have experience here. Some guy who does is with our Dick Bergman. Dick?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the undisputed king of today's restrictor plate racing. At Daytona, he has won 3 times in the Busch Series, one here last spring as well. Junior, what kind of a race are our viewers going to see this afternoon?
It's going to be pretty wild. A lot of passing, a lot of racing. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can all stay clean and not have any big crashes. Everybody have a safe day.
Good luck today. Race safe. Matt Yoakum.
Dick, rookie Clint Boyer on the pole in only his 3rd NASCAR Busch Series start. He has been flooded with advice from Kevin Harvick and other teammates. Nervous or excited on the pole today, Clint?
Just excited. Happy for the guys back in the shop. Hats off to the fabrication shop and the engine shop. Really did their homework. Richard put together a good super speedway package and shows putting a rookie up front like this.
He's got a friend, at least at the start, teammate Ron Hornaday Jr. alongside in the Blue Deuce. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. Hi, everybody. Mike Choi, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip with you. We've seen various different aerodynamic packages on these cars as NASCAR seeks to equalize the competition and have safe racing. Darrell, what about the package on these cars today?
I prefer this over what they have on the Cup cars. I like the bigger restrictor plate. I like the bigger spoiler with the wicker bill on the back. I like the roof fin. Everything they've done here, I think, makes for better racing. One of the best races I saw here at Talladega was with this package on the Cup cars in 2001.
Yeah, I talked to David Green earlier in the week. He's ran on all the different packages in the Busch Series, and he said what he likes about this versus the old restrictor plate, the smaller plate, with this plate with more drag in the car, if you do have to roll out of the throttle, you can recover. In other words, a pack can run another pack down, and he said he likes the ability to do that.
And all those aerodynamic, the fences across the front of the roof, the wicker bill at the back of the spoiler, helps the car punch a bigger hole in the wind so other cars can pull up and draft. Ask Joe Nemechek. He's won this race from the pole. He's also won it starting way out back in 35th position. You can win here from just about anywhere. Last second preparations. Drivers buckled in, window nets going up as we bring you trackside for the command.
Gentlemen, please direct your attention once again to the start-finish line as we welcome back Atlanta Falcons running back Warrick Dunn for the most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, crank it up!
Warrick Dunn of the Falcons, Atlanta, about 115 miles from this racetrack. He's a little guy who's made big. Warrick Dunn of the NFL. How about a big guy trying to make good here? Let's check in with Jeannie Zalasko. Jeannie?
Well, it is almost a guarantee that Michael Waltrip will step up to the plate. The restrictor plate, that is. A Talladega weekend, much needed for the Cup driver. And for the Busch driver as well, he'll take it. He's been struggling, of course, on the Cup side. 2004 on the Busch side, a different story, guys. He won at Nashville, and now he's the points leader. Michael Waltrip was only supposed to be doing this part-time. Now they're starting to reevaluate. One, because of the struggles on the Cup side, and two, boy, if there's a championship within their grasp, Michael wants to reach out and grab it.
Well, Jeannie, on a weekend when most 18-year-olds are more concerned about preparing for the prom, Kyle Busch is set to run here in his next points race at Talladega, and he comes here third in points. One area of concern for Kyle Busch today, his father will not be his spotter. They have a new spotter, Chris Osborne, who normally is with the 48 team in the Cup side for teammate Jimmy Johnson. Chris Myers.
All right, thanks, Steve. From an 18-year-old to C.W. Smith, who will be driving in the 67 car. He's a former Pennsylvania State Trooper. Also, two female drivers, Kim Crosby and Tina Gordon, racing in today's race. Glad to have you with us here on Fox.
Hello, I'm Ken Butler. I'm president of Aaron Sales and Lease Ownership.
Hi, I'm Allie. Hi, I'm Angela.
And welcome to Talladega in the Aaron's 312, the fastest, longest race of the Busch season. Now you wonder why we run 312 miles.
Number 1, you're always pre-approved. Number 2, you're always guaranteed the lowest price.
And number 3, you can own your dream products in as little as 12 months. Welcome to Talladega. Sit back, relax, and have a great day.
Well, we thank you for that. Once a soybean field, then a World War II airfield, now one of the hot tracks on the circuit. Welcome back to the Aaron's 312 on Fox, brought to you by Aaron's. Let Aaron's drive your dreams today. At Talladega Superspeedway, 40 miles from Birmingham, Alabama, just down the road from Atlanta, Georgia, and moments away from the start of today's race. The starting lineup on the screen will be shown below. Clint Bowyer on the pole, shares the front row with teammate Ron Hornaday Jr. Also Robert Presley back in the 47 car for Mark Green, his father in the hospital. We certainly hope that he is doing well. No man, of course, drives alone at Talladega. It's a team effort, so we sent Jeff Hammond alone down to our Ford Cutaway car to explain. Jeff?
Well, Chris, when it comes to Talladega or any racetrack on the circuit, you need the new safety restraints as far as the headrest, the helmet, the head and neck restraint. But more importantly, when you come to Talladega, you need to have a good set of mirrors so you can see the cars on your inside as well as on your outside, because you can't move your head around a lot. But the guys you're going to really be dependent upon today will be the spotters who are upstairs looking down upon all these race cars as they race around this high bank racetrack. You've got to have a spotter who you can have confidence in, because dicing in and out of traffic at better than 190 miles an hour, you have got to have somebody you can trust. And for more on this, what happens when you don't have the right person, Speedway Illustrated's Dick Bergman.
Well, thanks, Jeff. The big topic of conversation in the garage this weekend among drivers and crews has been the big one, the big crash that sweeps up a dozen, 2 dozen, or more cars. Last year, the big one happened on lap 9. The year before, it happened on lap 15. But it can happen anytime, early in the race, middle of the race, tail end of the race. The drivers say they think it's going to happen today. Their wives, their friends, their fans, the drivers themselves hope it doesn't. Jeannie?
How to avoid the big one? That is the million-dollar question, with several schools of thought, including these from guys who know, the veterans. A bunch of drivers in the garage today were talking about, hey, let's get together, help each other work to the back of the pack, and then the madness can just unfold in front of us. Other drivers like Joe Nemechek said, wait a second, I prefer to step on the gas, get out in front, and leave all the drama in my dust. The conclusion? There is no answer. Hold your breath, Steve.
And Jeannie, this race, one of the keys to the race, positioning. You have got to be in position at the end of the race to make a charge, and you can't do it by yourself. You have to be in position with a friend, a dancing partner, to be able to make a run to the checkered flag. If you don't, you'll be hung out to dry, Matt Yoakum.
Steve, who you dance with on the racetrack may definitely dictate who you partner with when it comes time to hit pit road for service. Polling a number of crew chiefs this morning in the garage area, the majority are on the 2-stop plan, but already they're ready to go for a gamble, even call an audible on whether to go for the 2, 4, or no tires when it comes time to hit pit road. But it all dictates whether it's a no caution or a number of cautions. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. The drivers do not grip the wheel tight in fear, but Darrell, running this close at these speeds, why do they call this white knuckle racing?
Well, you actually you're squeezing it that hard here. I mean, you can't relax. And one of the things about this aero package, I like it, but the drivers kind of say it causes a problem for them, is the closing rate. When the cars are all bunched up in front of you and you got that big spoiler on the back and that wicker bill on the top, it allows your car to really suck up in a hurry. And that's where you run into problems. Get somebody up here not going as good as you are, ram into the back of them, and we got trouble.
There are the drivers doing all he can with his foot on the floor all the time. What about pit strategy?
Well, I'm going to follow up on Matt Yoakum. What you do, you work this race backwards as a crew chief. It's 117 laps, 300 miles. If you can run about 50 laps on fuel, you work that backwards. And your goal is, once you get to within that window, and you can get fuel in that car, and these cars run the 22-gallon fuel cells versus the 13.5 in the Cup cars, you get that car full of fuel, some decent tires at least on the right side, and then you're good to go. The best position to be in, we can talk about strategy, is out there leading this thing.
Chris?
Well, the yellow line certainly could figure. That's the out-of-bounds line that drivers will have to be careful with. And we're getting ready for the green flag. Drivers representing 21 states from across the U.S., 4 from Alabama. That's the most, along with Michigan. We'll be back in a moment. Fox, glad to have you with us from Talladega Superspeedway. Be with us tomorrow at 1 Eastern, noon Central Time for Cup racing. Today, Busch Racing and awaiting the big one. Whether it will happen or not, we'll keep an eye on it, Mike Joy.
It's not inevitable. Mark Martin won here in '97 with only one caution flag, but it seems to happen so frequently here. Somebody tips somebody, a car gets sideways, and the whole field wads up behind them.
Mike, you raced at so many other racetracks where a little contact doesn't hurt anything. Here, a little contact creates situations like this.
Now, as 737 takes off and lands at, what, 135, 140 miles an hour, somewhere in that, around 160 miles an hour, excuse me, we're running nearly 200 miles an hour. So these cars, NASCAR's done all they can to keep them on the ground, but, well, you see what happens.
And you see most of these big ones, they happened up there in the very front part of the pack. And we talk about the importance of the spotter. There's nothing a spotter can do to talk you through that.
85 degrees, beautiful day here. There's your track temperature at 105 and just a little whiff of a breeze.
And with running around here wide open, that track temperature has to make a substantial change to really make a difference in the handling of these cars. Remember, they run around here wide open, never lifting the throttle.
The real breeze is generated by these race cars as they go by at 190 or so.
Incredible amount of turbulence comes off these cars right now.
And there you see the pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. That can be a challenge when you come off that racetrack on the green running 190 miles an hour. 3 sets of tires under caution. We don't anticipate they'll even use that many. And if we do have a caution late in the race, 4 laps to go, we would get the red flag at lap 113 or less.
Several cars are on pit road. Brian Vickers among them, or excuse me, Bobby Hamilton Jr. among them.
David Green. David Green's back down there. I'm not sure what he's doing. There he goes.
We'll mention again that David's middle brother, Mark Green, qualified the 47. I want to say hello to Bob Presley and that whole family out in Asheville, North Carolina. Bob, a longtime star of NASCAR's Late Model Sportsman Series, which became the Busch Series. His son, Robert, will climb in the car and race today. Bob suffered a stroke earlier this week, and we hope he's doing okay.
Yeah, I raced against him back in the 70s. He's a tough competitor.
Now, the irony of those cars that were on pit road, now you cannot stop and put fuel in your car to the green flag, but the irony of David Green, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Johnny Benson, that was exactly 3 of the teams that I know Jeannie Zelasco talked to this morning. You heard her in her pit story earlier that wanted to get to the back of the pack and actually put some distance in themselves in the front of the field, get away from the eye of the storm a little bit.
So you're saying they're not going to race their way to the rear. They have positioned themselves there on the pace ladder.
Just based on what we were told this morning and what Jeannie had found out, it has all that look about it.
Let's find out. Steve?
Well, Mike, we just checked out in David Green's pits, and they were having radio problems. This is not a place where you don't want to have radio communication problems, but they say now the problem is fixed. Matt?
Steve here in the 25 pit. Basically, Bobby Jr. came down pit road, and they nonchalantly looked over the tires, and also keeping in mind their original game plan was to drop to the back anyway. So you can kind of see that goes along with their game plan, Dick.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was just on the radio and thanked everybody for what he called the extra effort to get this car in the race. He said if they drop out in the first lap or win the race, it's all the same. It's about coming here to have fun. Thank you, everyone.
Junior won in Daytona with number 8. He's relinquished that to Martin Truex, who's going to run the whole Busch Series with the number 8. So Junior's in 81 today.
There's no question in my mind now. That's exactly what Johnny Benson, David Green, Bobby Hamilton Jr., that's what they're doing. They're getting away from this field for a few laps in the beginning of the race.
Yeah, that's a great strategy, but you can't get too far back there. Even the 3 of you can, or they'll get away from you.
But that's the good thing about this aero package, Darrell. You can pull back up a little better than the old package.
Getting set to go racing for 312 miles at Talladega.
Well, them belts tight one more time. Let's go.
Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing.
Now with the carburetor restrictor plate, it will take these cars almost a complete lap to make it back around to be at full speed.
2 cars slow getting up to speed. Donnie Neuenberger, and that yellow car on the apron is Justin Ashburn.
Right now we're seeing a lot of 2x2. It will not be long, as we're already seeing on the backstretch. You'll see them 3 wide, you'll see them 4 wide.
Rookie Clint Boyer being pushed by rookie Martin Truex. That's Hornaday up top with Robbie Gordon, 2 veterans.
And those yellow bumpers are is why some of those guys wanted to follow the back. These guys have very limited experience here, almost none.
That 16 car is not going to make it around. He may turn in on the apron in turn 2 as we come around to complete lap 1.
It's pretty much all Richard Childress Racing engines up there, 1, 2, 3. Remember, Robbie Gordon, even though he owns his own Busch Series team, Richard Childress builds the engine for him. We're single file through about the first 7 or 8 cars.
Jason Leffler leading the group up top. Back at about 12th place.
We're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. right there. He has a little bit of help from behind, but it looks like they're trying to get down to the bottom of the racetrack.
16, you see, did not turn in. He's crawling slowly toward the garage, but he's well down and below the yellow line off the racetrack officials. And they'll wave the caution for Justin Ashburn. Racing stops, field is frozen, and everybody will reduce speed and come around to the line and complete lap 2. First caution of the day, lap 2 at Talladega.
The Aaron's 312 on Fox is brought to you by Aaron's. Let Aaron's drive your dreams home today. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. And by food. And for this WebMD safety report here at Talladega, Speedway Illustrated's Dick Bergman. Dick?
Thanks, Chris. Every driver in today's race is wearing a flame-proof uniform similar to this one. Point of this whole thing is not so much that the uniform doesn't catch fire, it's that the uniform prevents heat from transferring to the driver in the event of a fire. Most of the drivers use a 2-layer uniform like this one with Nomex on the outside, Impactium on the inside. And it's good for about 25 seconds in a gas fire. That is my hand under there. So far, so good. I don't even feel anything on my hand. 25 seconds. Safety first. Chris?
That's pretty good. I think Dick used that on his hair before. We kid because we care. For more information on how to keep your family safe and healthy, as well as a chance to win tickets to race next season in Daytona or Talladega, visit drive.webmd.com. And we'll be back here in Talladega in just a moment. Don't go away.
First caution of the day, Justin Ashburn slow in the back straightaway. He did get back to pit road and has continued. But it allowed several teams to make pit stops under this caution.
I didn't see any tire changing going on. Again, anytime, especially if you're at the back of the pack, as most of these cars were, you see Tim Feeble there, Bobby Hamilton Jr., David Green, Johnny Benson, Jason Keller, a lot of the guys that Jeannie Zelasco talked to this morning that said, hey, we're going to sit back and ride for a while, but they get those tanks full of fuel every chance you get.
Nah, they just came in. They still got a radio problem.
You think?
All 5 of them. They can't talk to each other.
And I got some beachfront property just down the road I want to sell you.
Passing only on the right until you go by the start-finish line. And we're back to racing with Ron Hornaday, Robbie Gordon, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., Mike Bliss, the front 5.
Single file restart this early in the race. No cars were a lap down. As we mentioned in the beginning of the race, with these restrictor plates under the carburetor, it takes about a lap to get up to full speed, even at a 2.66 mile track.
Just, I'm curious to see how those boys' strategy is going to work out falling back like that, because this pack gets broken up. You get 2 or 3 fast guys together in the front, they can put you in a jeopardy going a lap down if this thing stayed up under green very long.
Saw Greg Biffle in the 60 car there. He pretty much did some serious bump drafting on Kenny Wallace. We're actually riding with Kenny right now, and Greg Biffle was one of the ones in happy hour practice yesterday that NASCAR said, hey, calm down just a little bit. Just tune it down just a hair. You see that bump draft.
He's still all over.
Got help with you.
Kenny Wallace, what that does is that shoots the car. You see how big a gap that put between the 60 and the 23? It shoots that car in front. It's like giving it an extra 50 horsepower.
5th place for Wallace.
He can bump him right to the front.
But I don't want to be bumped when I'm in the corner, though, right?
No, you can. It's a straight line thing. You start bumping around like that in the corner, you're going to wreck the guy. Here he comes. Just push, push. Now you got to back off a little bit and give him some room. He's in the turn here. You don't want to do it here, but you watch these 2 guys are coming right to the front.
They're up to 3rd.
Because with the aero package we've talked about, even when Greg backs off in the corner in the 60 car, he's able to pull back on the straightaway as he's doing right here and bringing that line of cars behind him with him.
Yeah, he got back a little far off turn 4 there. He's going to have to give him a pretty good shot here to get him back in the front. Can't quite get there this time, but he'll try to do it down the back.
You know what amazes me, because we don't get the perception how rough this racetrack is. You can see these cars never stop moving around. It's a very rough racetrack.
Now the high sides, Jason Leffler trying to climb up to around 5th. Way on the outside. That's Wallace in the middle, the yellow car. That's the left middle, not the right middle. There's a lot of middle there. And you're riding with Dale Jr. Greg Biffle just ahead. Casey Kane to the inside in the 38. Greg Biffle has come from 26th to 6th in just 5 green flag laps.
Yeah, he had a good race car in happy hour practice, and as we watched Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 81, the Taco Bell car, he's going for 5 restrictor plate wins in a row here in Daytona.
Jeff Hammond.
Mike, another guy right now that's on the move is that 99 car, Michael Waltrips. He took the outside right there with the 00 of Jason Leffler, and really coming up through the pack right now very quickly.
And Jeff, of course, he was very happy with this car. The Busch Series had 2 practices yesterday morning. Michael kept his car parked in the garage for the second practice.
Now the drivers that stopped are running about 8 seconds behind this lead pack, hopefully for them out of harm's way. But they've not drifted back out of contention, so to speak.
No, they're okay. They're only 2 or 3 tenths off of what these lead cars are running right now. So if they stick to their game plan, looks like they may be all right.
Ron Hornaday, first time he's led in the Busch Series since Daytona. The AC Delco Chevy leads them around. Robbie Gordon has been right on his rear bumper the whole way so far.
And Darrell, all the different racetracks we go to, we talk about preferred line, but pretty much at Talladega, it could be the bottom, it could be the middle, it could be the top. It's who's got the best line of cars in them.
Yeah, usually think inside or outside. That middle is a sucker hole most of the time. With this package here, it's not quite as bad, but you get that middle and you don't know if you're going to go forward or backward.
Kenny Wallace and Greg Biffle still trying to work the outside to get to the rear bumper of Kenny Wallace.
And believe it or not, Kenny Wallace is in there saying, come on, man, come on, push.
Now, if the spotter for Greg Biffle is watching this, one thing they've got to make Greg aware of is you see him kind of dip the nose out in air right there. He's been tucked up behind his car for 5 laps. The water temperature will start to go up because there's not a lot of airflow going through that grill right now.
That's what you call getting pushed right into the lead.
And that's where Kenny Wallace is trying to go. Hornaday holds him off for the moment.
Watch him down this back straightaway now. When Biffle can get up there. Actually, Biffle doesn't look like he's quite as fast as Kenny. Now they're going to, here we go, here we go, here we go. Little shove, and here we go, buddy. Look at that. That's working it to perfection right there.
I mean, look at this pack of cars right here. This is about the top 20 cars right now, and it's less than a second and a half right there, that whole wad of cars. And it's all happening at over 190 miles per hour.
More of the same tomorrow. 500 miles at Talladega. The Aaron's 499 here on Fox. Dick Berggren.
That is the first lap that Kenny Wallace has led, believe it or not, since April 2002. And where did he lead that lap? Right here at Talladega. I talked to him this morning in the drivers' meeting. Wallace thinks he has a car that's good enough to win. His crew chief, Chris Rice, also thinks they have a car good enough to win. They've got a terrific weapon. It right now is on the point.
Well, something happened to that 5 car there, Kyle Busch. He was up in that pack, and all of a sudden he started drifting back. Looked like he almost lost power, and now it looks like it's running right again. So, like, Mayo had to flip a switch.
Yeah, these cars, most of them carry 2 ignition systems. If one went out, you can flip a switch, and they'll go to a backup system. But just to tell you about this place, we're watching Kenny Wallace in that 23-car lead. Remember, he started 24th, and in 11 laps, he's leading this race.
Proof the starting position here does not matter. Matt?
Mike, just like Daytona, young Kyle Busch is experiencing an overheating problem. The water temperature has climbed to 240. If you recall back to Daytona in the Busch Series race, it was up over 260, and it blew the motor. He's trying to drop back to get some fresh air into that engine.
Well, Darrell, you talk about the sucker hole. What the crew chief gets suckered into is running a lot of tape on the nose of these cars because it really helps the straightaway speed. But then sometimes I think it's much warmer today than it was yesterday morning when these cars were practicing. You need a little more airflow.
You just never can simulate race conditions. You can go out there and run in a pack of cars, but you never get tucked in this tight, this long, and the temperatures do go up. Look at the difference between the 23 car here, Kenny Wallace, and then go back and look at the grill on the 5. About twice as much tape on the 5.
And right now, I'm sure Kenny Wallace, Chris Rice, the crew chief, wish we had a little more tape on the nose now if they're leading, because it's getting plenty of airflow.
Racing's all about compromise. You know, you got to give up something to get something.
But that's one thing, Larry. You can't plan on leading here.
No,
Nobody
sir.
can. Not
Never
for long.
can. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 81 car. He's bringing his teammate in the car that he owns, Martin Truex, in the 8 car. They're trying to move up there as he takes second position away from Greg Biffle in the 60.
At 23 with Kenny Wallace on board, I tell you, that thing's pretty stout because he's worked his way right to the front. He's able to hold them off.
And Robbie Gordon in 55, he moves to the high side, hoping to get some help from Joe Nemechek back there in the 87 car.
Kenny Wallace, who last led at Talladega 2 years ago, hauls them around the nation's fastest super speedway. New leader in the Aaron's 312, Dale Earnhardt Jr. just drove around the outside of Kenny Wallace with help from Robbie Gordon to become this race's 3rd different leader. Stacy Compton made a pit stop while we were away under the green flag, changed tires and came back out.
Gets a run on him right here through the tri-oval, and he's got Robbie Gordon. Dale Jr. does right behind him in the 55. They just swing around the outside of Kenny. He's kind of a setting duck because he's got nobody behind him at this moment. He needs his bump drafting partner back up there.
There wasn't a thing he could do about that.
We've talked to you about how starting position here does not matter. Aaron says do the math. Robert Presley has gained 22 spots. Kenny Wallace 21. Since the wave of the green flag, Wallace and Biffle up there fighting for the lead. Bergman.
Well, Chris Rice, Kenny Wallace's crew chief, just came running down to the Earnhardt pits and almost begged these guys to stick with him, that the 3 of them would go to the front, stay to the front. Didn't work. The 81 went right on by him. Truex. Or Earnhardt got it.
That may be the one car here that needs no friends.
Pretty much, once he gets in front, it's like the chase is on.
He might not want any friends, but a lot of people want to be his friend.
That's right. Now, the race's first leader, Ron Hornaday, has slid back to 11th, Steve.
Hey, look at here. Here comes Robbie Gordon on the outside, guys.
And Mike, Ron Hornaday Jr. just said, woo, this thing is loose. He said the left front tire is doing all the work right now. Crew Chief Butch Hilton said 10-4, we're going to work on your tire pressures when we make a stop.
Yeah, that's one thing. You want to be neutral here. You don't want that thing to have any front end shove up off the corner, especially off turn 2. But just remember, they're trying to run around here wide open over 190 miles per hour. You don't want to be turning back to the right.
No, you don't. And really, you do try to run wide open. But with this restrictor plate package here, you can feather the throttle a little bit. The other thing you can do is ride the brakes. Kind of keep the guy behind you at bay by just slowing the car down a little bit with the brakes.
Robbie Gordon leads this big draft at the front. Let's go back and find the drivers, though, who made pit stops before they waved the green flag. There they are. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is 25th, matching his car number, 9 seconds off the lead. Right behind him, all Busch Series regulars. Tony Raines, David Green, Jason Keller, Tim Fedewa, Casey Atwood.
And talking about Tim Fedewa and Casey Atwood, remember as we ride with Jason Keller here in the 22 car, Fedewa and Atwood are teammates. They had good qualifying runs on Thursday, and after qualifying, the roof flaps, the crew chiefs actually had them propped up just ever so slightly with some spacers trying to strip air off the roof instead of going back to the rear spoiler. They disallowed their time. Both of them had to start at the rear of the field.
A little bit of too creative engineering.
Just a little bit.
You know, the strategy that those guys are using, though, I've been surprised that more guys haven't done this, particularly in the Cup race.
But I think the secret, Daryl, as we watch the leader right here now, Robbie Gordon in the 55 car pull that pack around, I think the secret, those guys, they have to stay in line back there. They can't start racing each other, because when you do, you start losing time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You get impatient. You know, all of a sudden they start saying, hey, the leaders are getting away from you. You start getting impatient. Up through the middle. Not a good
Ashton
thing.
Lewis in the Advertise Here Chevrolet, still looking for a sponsor.
And James Inch is the crew chief, you know, from the Cup Series. Johnny Benson's old crew chief. He's the crew chief on that car now.
Paul Menard, rookie just ahead. Rookie to the left is Martin Truex.
Andy Petrie's car up there with Menard.
you know, at some point maybe we'll get a front shot of Ashton Lewis's car, because as we were looking from the roof forward, you were seeing some tape flapping there. It's like maybe some tape has blown off someone else's car and it's hooked on the hood pin there. I don't think it was tape that was actually on the nose of his car.
We talk about the importance of aerodynamics here, but in the draft, Larry, that won't hurt you, will it?
Well, I think Greg Biffle showed that last year in the Cup race. Yeah, it's when you get out there by yourself it makes the huge difference, or actually out there leading. His car was beat to pieces.
Robbie Gordon has now led 4 laps. Casey Kane has come to the front with him. Jason Leffler and Joe Nemechek, who's had such success in the Busch Series here, is in 4th place. Jeannie.
Showing tremendous patience on and off the radio at times. The spotter, the crew chief, letting him know, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing the right thing. Help is on the way. He's been waiting for the draft. Promises that the 4 car that would get up there to help didn't really come to fruition. So he just had a visit from the 33 team. The crew came over. Looks like they're making a deal, maybe getting him some help, getting him moving a little bit better like he's planning on doing, making his way to the front.
Junior comes alongside, drafting off the 4 of Mike Wallace.
But I tell you, we've seen something here today that I haven't seen quite a while. Somebody who actually pulled out and passed Dale Jr. on the outside. Robbie Gordon, and that's his own car, by the way, and Robbie Gordon's running a great race right now.
All contenders there as Biffle pulls up on Dale Jr. Robbie Gordon the leader, Casey Kane Jr. in this number 81, Nemechek and Biffle among those who will hope to sort it out over the 312-mile distance, 117 laps of Talladega. Robbie Gordon, who's now led 8 laps, continues to haul Casey Kane, Jason Leffler, Joe Nemechek, and the car you're riding with, Dale Earnhardt Jr. around Talladega. Taco Bell trivia. Since this was named the NASCAR Busch Series, what one driver has started every Talladega Busch Series race?
Not Mark Martin.
I think it might. You mentioned him a while ago, maybe Joe Nemechek.
Survey says.
Nemechek. You know, we talk about Casey Kane. Good job, Larry.
Thank you.
I love it when you study the book. Talk about Casey Kane up there running in 2nd place. He's got a new crew chief this weekend, Paul Andrews, that was a crew chief over at DEI. So a couple of guys that are making a good showing here today have got new crew chiefs.
Speaking of good showings, Jason Leffler has hung out with the top 5 here all day. He's the 3rd car on the inside row in that Haas Zonimation 00. Steve Burns.
Mike, Jason Leffler, another driver complaining of being on the loose side. His crew chief, Booty Barker, saying we're going to adjust with air pressure and wedge when we stop.
Now, being loose in the turns, it doesn't really bother you that much. Where being loose really bothers you is through the tri-oval. You get a car on the outside of you through the tri-oval, and that'll almost suck the back end out from under you. You don't have the banking in the tri-oval that you got in the turns.
And Darrell, just remember, with this package here, and I know these guys raced it at Daytona, even with that big spoiler back there, with that return flange, that roof fin puts a lot of front downforce in the car, which will tend to make one a little bit loose.
3 wide, and look who's up high, making a name for himself, Johnny Sauter, bringing the Kleenex car all the way to the front on the outside, vying for 2nd spot, Dick Berggren.
Well, Sauter had to go up there, Mike, because he started to run hot after following Junior for all those laps. And indeed, they did communicate to Dale Earnhardt Jr. that Sauter couldn't stick with him because he has an overheating engine.
And you know, one reason they may be overheating is because this is a different nose that they've been used to work with. This team has been running Pontiacs, and they've brought brand new Chevrolets here. They've been slowly but surely making the transition to the Chevrolets. Another guy that we want to keep an eye on, remember our pole sitter, Clint Boyer, in that 21 car. He didn't stay up at the front, but he's been hanging out right there about the top 10, right about 9th to about 12th. Now remember, this is only his 3rd Busch Series start. He has never raced here, and Jeff Hammond, I think you had a conversation with him this morning.
Yes, I did, Larry. I asked him, I said, has Richard Childress and your crew chief been giving you kind of advice? And he said, yeah, they have. They said, he told me to be patient more than anything else. Let the race come to me. If there's a hole there, double check and make sure that hole is really there. Don't get in a hurry trying to work through this traffic. Try to get in line and be patient, and you'll be successful today. He really wants to finish this race and keep this car up in that owner's point.
Jeff Fuller takes his car to the garage and out of today's race. Let's check with Matt Yoakum.
Mike Klempour hasn't deviated from his pre-race game plan, and that was to hang on the bottom right on that yellow line. He told me that if 40 cars pass him, that's fine. He wants to stay on the bottom. Big learning process today. He ran the Daytona ARCA race, ran top 5 most of the day until he was shuffled back to 7th. His spotter, Mike Dillon, keeps giving him advice lap after lap. In fact, he told him one big piece of advice. You keep pulling out too early, and that's why you're getting that big gap between yourself and the car in front. Each lap, a big learning.
And Mike Dillon would know. He's driven that car here for Richard Childress.
Yeah, and I think what Bowyer's doing is just get some of that good experience. Trying to learn, figure out, got all day long here, be there at the end.
Robert Presley, the Clorox 47, running in 16th spot. That car qualified by Mark Green in the top 10, but Presley had to start 43rd with the driver change, trying to work his way up through and doing a job of it, Steve.
Yeah, Mike, he's doing a great job, and it's also good medicine for Robert to be at the racetrack. His crew chief, Steve Plattenberger, told me this morning Robert has been at his father's bedside 15 hours a day for the past 8 days, and although he hated to leave his father, it did make him feel much better to be at the racetrack. And as you said, Mike, his race car, he felt like Plattenberger that Robert could track down packs from wherever he needed to on the racetrack.
And, of course, I think we all know Robert's dad, Bob Presley, a very successful racer. This is exactly where he would want Robert right now, and that's here racing today.
Leaders coming up on some lap traffic. It won't thin the pack, but it may single file them for just a bit as they deal with traffic here going off into turn 3.
Everybody's mind their manners pretty good right now. They're staying on the bottom, giving them the outside. They'll work through here single file. What these slow guys will try to do is jump into the back of this pack if they can, get the draft, and be the first car one lap down.
Randy McDonald and Larry Hollenbeck leading that group of lap cars. And again, the drivers who stopped prior to the green flag having a race of their own now.
There,
some 50
barely there,
back
barely there, outside.
And you heard the spotter right there. Dale Jr. was not quite clear of Robbie
You got
Gordon,
the help coming.
but he's got help, and Robbie doesn't.
Outside. You got all the help. Outside, all clear. Too wide behind you. Too wide behind you.
Tell you what, he's getting help from a guy that don't have a lot of experience at super speedways, Paul Menard in that 33 car. But remember, you mentioned this gentleman a while ago. He's driving for Andy Petrie, who has always had good race cars to displace, whether it was Busch or in the Nextel Cup.
Yeah, Bobby Hamilton won here in Andy's car. Andy was one of the first ones I ever saw to run the really, really soft front springs at Daytona and Talladega.
Jason Leffler has been a top 5 car most of the day. He's drifted back a spot or two. Steve?
And Mike, there were 2 NASCAR officials down here in the pits. They have just left. One of the fuel cans was missing a seal, and that is a violation of the rule book. So there's been a lot of discussion as to whether or not they can use this fuel can on the next pit stop, or the first pit stop that we'll see. And this is the seal where you would see the seal. So we'll check in with the team to see if, in fact, or see what NASCAR has said about the situation.
And this is something NASCAR did this year in Nextel Cup and in Busch. The fuel cans, they actually have a template that they go through prior to the race. And when it passes the template, all the dimensions and everything, it's a 12-gallon dump can. But like the fuel cells, it's by dimensions. When it meets those dimensions by the template, it gets a seal on it just like your fuel cell, Steve.
And we had a lead change too, guys.
Larry Mack, I just checked with the guys here in the 00 pits, and they said the NASCAR officials have given them the okay to use it. The seal broke off, but they have been given clearance to use it.
While we were there, Johnny Sauter briefly took the lead. 4th race he's led this season, and the first time since Las Vegas. But Sauter's been credited with leading a lap. He and Robbie Gordon battle side by side at Talladega.
The Aaron's 312 on Fox is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. With Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers back live. Robbie Gordon leading. We've had 6 different lead changes, 5 different leaders. Robbie Gordon Plans on running in 24 Busch races this season. Strong car in the same car he had, Jeff, at Daytona.
Yeah, very strong race car right now. And what's really impressive is the fact that not only has he been able to go up there and lead, as he puts a block right now on the 81 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr., he didn't want to give that lead up, but he's been able to push cars to the front, get them to the lead, and then go right back and make the pass to regain the lead. So he's got a really strong ride, as well as this guy here out front. And Jason Leffler right now running second. He was strong early on, but he also had a problem a little bit earlier on when he went down in the corner right
Let's
there.
take a look at the double zero car.
Side. Yeah. Notice all of a sudden his car kind of takes off up to the high. He almost gets in that new safer barrier right in the middle of the corner.
We've had just one caution so far as we see Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Getting a little bit of help right now from Joe Nemechek, and all of a sudden you look and you see Martin Truex lining up behind Robbie Gordon.
So Junior running second behind Robbie Gordon. Let's rejoin Mike, Larry, and Darrell.
On the bottom for the lead, Robbie Gordon. He's already led 20 laps today, twice as many as anyone else, and he's trying to take it back to the lead, but that outside group is just as strong.
Well, that's what I like about this aero package. You know, you can pass. And that's what we're seeing today is pass. Remember the 2001 Daytona 500? We had more lead changes in the first 10 laps than it had in the last 10 races.
Yeah, when they put this aero package on the Cup cars back in 2000, I made the comment in 99, you needed to put cots in the grandstands. In 2000, you didn't need seats because no one ever sat down.
This was a package I wish they'd have stayed with in Cup and just tweaked it. If they'd have just kept tweaking on this package, this is the best Daytona Talladega package they got.
Moving into the top 10, David Stremme in the number 32 Dodge, running within a second of the leader. That maroon car up in the outside lane. Fourth in the outside line is Stremme. Here's Jeannie.
Hang around, DW. Tell me if you can relate to this. Talk about being on the hot seat. David Stremme says his keister is hot, 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 a.k.a. the tush is torched. The buns are on fire. Pit stop, please. When he comes in, they're going to give him a heat shield. I'm not making this stuff up, but I'm sure he's really pleased that they're sharing all this information. That's actually the least of his worries. He's still complaining that he's loose in the draft. They plan on taking that track bar down. Welcome to your first Busch race at Talladega.
What happens, Mike and Jeannie, is those seats are solid. And the driver will sometimes dump a little liquid down his back or on his lap. It just goes down in there. It's like sitting in a steam pot. The water just, it hangs in the bottom of the seat, and you start to literally cook like a lobster. So they might want to give him some STP or aloe or something.
Of course, those exhaust pipes run right underneath him, and at a racetrack like this, where you are wide open throttle most of the time, it just builds a tremendous amount of heat in the exhaust system.
That happens to you one time, and next time you say, hey, boys, did y'all put those green holes in the seat?
Yeah. Saw a few of those lobsters on top of some of the campers in the infield earlier.
It's a hot day out there. It's about 86 degrees.
Martin Truex
getting a little racy there, and he kind of dives out there. He's looking for his teammate, I think.
Yeah, he slid right up in front of his teammate / car owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 81 car. Kenny Wallace in the 23 looked like he wanted to fill that hole as well. But it looks like right now, for the most part around the racetrack, that bottom line is the one that continues to move.
What continues to move is wherever Robbie Gordon is. He has got a strong horse right there today, boys.
In each of the last 2 years here, we've only had 7 lead changes. In each of those races, we've already had 8 today, validating this aerodynamic package. Now, Michael Waltrip expected to be a contender in this race, but he has now fallen to 20th position.
He's points racing. Normally, Mike would be up there fighting for the lead with the best of them. I think he's points racing today, Matt.
DW, within 10 laps of Michael hitting pit road, his car was running very warm earlier, had gotten up over 230 to almost 240. He said he needs lots of adjustments. His car, very loose, expected to come in with both Dale Jr. and Martin Truex Jr. He wants track bar, air pressure, and tape off the grill. His crew chief, Jerry Baxter, wanted to go with a 2-tire scenario. Mikey overruled. He wants 4.
And you know what? Every time I called in with that many changes, they said, pick one.
Yeah, right.
Which one you need the worst?
And yeah, I think it would be a smart move now that we're 44 laps into this run and no one has changed tires. This next pit stop, whether it's green or caution, you want to make sure you get 4 fresh tires on there now. That way, near the end of the race, 117 laps, you'll get by with maybe just 2 tires.
Deal making among crew chiefs going on. Looking for someone to pit with at the same time so you can get back out.
Yellow flag. Yellow flag.
Yellow flag for that piece of debris. Second caution of the day.
Now that was Brian Patty, Joe Nemechek's crew chief, and Tony Gibson, who's working with Dale Earnhardt Jr. That was them making a deal here because we're just a few laps away from having to make those green flag stops had it not been for this caution.
Let's see what happens here, Larry. See if we can see where this comes from. Whoa.
Somebody bump drafting?
It looks like a piece of, almost like one of the strips. You know, it's not one of the roof strips, is it?
Or I wonder if it maybe is one of the strips off one of the rear spoilers. You know, it has that flange on it as well that's bolted on.
The wicker bill.
And then, of course, they got skirts down the right side, but that looks pretty substantial.
But if it's off one of those rear spoilers or a roof strip, whoever it's off of, they will definitely have to put that back on. NASCAR will not let you race without it if indeed that's what it is.
And I don't believe that's a part you normally keep spares for on pit road.
I don't think so.
No.
To me, this caution, who it helps the most is our group back there, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Casey Atwood, those guys, because they were really starting to lose touch. They were about a half lap down from our lead pack, so I think they're the guys that really are going to enjoy this caution.
Yeah, they'll step it up a little bit this next run.
Time to go.
Hermie Sadler was the first car 1 lap down. He will get the free pass. Welcome back to Talladega. Second caution of the day. Debris off one of the race cars. Pit road not yet open. Hermie Sadler, though, will get the free pass, but the car didn't sound good as it came around, and now it sounds like it's shut off.
It sounded like the transmission was making a lot of noise and rattling around, but he could just be out of fuel.
And Derek Cope goes to the garage where Jeff Fuller has just returned from. That leaves Cope and Rick Markle, the 2 cars, off the racetrack.
You know who else this was a huge break for? Johnny Benson. He had lost that pack back there that was a second pack. He was almost in jeopardy of going a lap down in the 1 car. And there you see the green flag. This means pit road will be open, and it will be a very busy place.
Jeannie?
Well, the 87 of Joe Nemechek, they say the car is running perfect, no changes, just 4 tires, scuffs for inquiring minds. And a reminder to take some water, Joe. One more thing, remember not to kill the fenders. Matt?
Robbie Gordon slides to a stop as they go to work on the right side. No adjustments for the 55 car. They will definitely have to go for 4, even if they wanted to, because he slid into his pit. Dick?
Earnhardt Jr. in his pit right now. A minor adjustment to the chassis in the back end of that car. Right in front of him, his teammate Martin Truex. And there goes Junior. The 55 is beating him out, and so has Truex.
Dale Jr. comes out 3rd. Mike Bliss 4th. Nemechek 5th. Johnny Sauter, Greg Biffle, Kenny Wallace, Clint Boyer, Jason Leffler, Mike Wallace, Ashton Lewis. That's the race off pit road.
That 55 bunch is on it, Larry.
Yes, they are.
I'm telling you.
When your car runs good, everything runs good. Hey, the group that really shined, though, was Mike Bliss in that 20 car. Those guys came in 7th. As we see Hermie Sadler getting a push there, no 2 car, but they go out 4th, Mike Bliss in the 20.
Hermie Sadler, the Zap Creations Pontiac. They get pushed back to the pits.
Look how far Gordon, he was way out there.
And you know what I like? We talked about pit road being 55 miles per hour. As we're seeing David Strimmy in the 32 car. He's sitting down there like he's not running.
Come back around.
Just talking about Robbie Gordon's pit spot. He's pitting back about 9 or 10 pits from the exit of pit road. With that restrictor plate, he can maximize pit road speed leaving, and that may be another good advantage to where he's pitting here with the restrictor plate.
Steve?
Well, Mike Bliss talked about his race car as being just a little twitchy. He said he'd lost a little front grip. The only adjustment they made to that Chevrolet, a half a pound in the right front tire. Great stop for the 20 team.
Larry, I don't know what they're really working feverishly on that 5 car, as if there's something up there that is not just, can't just pull tape off, Matt. What is it?
DW, they've cut about a 3 by 6 inch hole in the bottom part of the bumper grill area to try to get more air into the engine. They had that grill screen ready, hoping for a caution so they would have the opportunity to fix that to try to cool down that water temperature.
Yeah, what they've done is they've opened up this bottom area down here that wasn't open before. That's going to put a lot more air into the radiator.
Yeah, they've already pulled about all the tape. I see one little piece left at the top of the nose, but you don't get a lot of airflow right up at the very top of that opening.
Kyle Busch just barely got out of the pits. You see the pace truck in time to stay on the lead lap. Lollipop. The Aaron's 312 on Fox is brought to you by Aaron's. Let Aaron's drive your dreams home today. Trouble for David Stremme. Ran out of gas, apparently. The car would not start, and his crew pushed it all the way down pit road, got it barely running. The official there in the lower right had the lollipop sign up, the stop sign up, because cars were coming by on the racetrack. He had to wait until they cleared, and it stalled again. I mean, these fellows pushed it a long way.
And what he's spraying there into the Cal induction is ether, just trying to get it to crank.
Now Kyle Busch's car got a big opening and some screen on the nose to help cool it. For today's Craftsman adjustment, let's go down to Jeff Hammond.
Mike, when you come in on a pit stop, what you'd like to be able to do is reach up, pull the tape off the front nose of your grill so you can cool it down. Now, in the case of the 5 car, they've had to come in and cut a hole in the very bottom of the grill so they can force air back in and through this radiator cavity to try to cool his car down. They prefer to take the tape off, but in their case, they felt like they needed to go to the bottom to force more air into the bottom of that radiator to cool that engine before they blow it up.
Kyle back on track, and he has stayed on the lead lap. Now a number of teams, drivers have teammates, and Dick Berggren caught some team conversation.
And it's good stuff. Dale Earnhardt Jr. talking to his teammate Martin Truex. Earnhardt, under that caution flag, said, "What are you doing out there, Martin?" Martin paused for a moment and said, "Oh, just racing." Then they got talking about where they should be running, and they agreed that they should be running at the top of the racetrack. That's the fastest part of the racetrack. But before today's race, Earnhardt told me that the top has narrowed as a result of the safer barriers. They may have some trouble running up there. Earnhardt has told Truex, "We've had fun, but do what you got to do to win the race. If you can, go win it."
Robbie Gordon leads the restart. Martin Truex Jr., Dale Earnhardt, Mike Bliss. What do you say we give these folks 190 miles an hour worth of crank it up?
Sounds good to me.
Back to one outside, one outside, one outside, all clear, all clear. 60's on the very top, got to run.
Minding their manners.
It's a twister. It's a twister.
That's what we always have after a restart. These cars get bunched back up, and the crew chief tells them we're just a little ways from halfway of this race. People start to step it up just a little bit.
And you know what? Some of those guys that were going to run at the back, there's a couple of defectors already. It never fails. The 37 car, David Green, he's up to 16th. He's not going to fall a half lap behind this time.
Greg Biffle trying to push Robbie Gordon back to the front spot. There's a look at that pack. The defectors, as Darrell calls them, right up there in the lead pack. Robbie Gordon holds them off.
They're still together. They're just more closer to the eye of the storm.
Watch that 5 car, man. He got some air to that baby now, and she is coming to the front.
Look at Truex and Jr. on the bottom. Jr. sends Truex off into the corner underneath Greg Biffle, who was the leader.
Robbie Gordon's in the sucker hole.
And let's mention, none of these lead changes count. Only the ones at the start-finish line. Otherwise, you'd have 100 or more.
There'd be no way to count them all.
Feels good to lead. I don't care if it's only on the back straightaway. That's all I know. Oh, yeah. Business is getting ready to pick up, boys.
Robbie Gordon has Mike Wallace alongside, and youngest brother Kenny just in front in that yellow and orange 23. Now, Wallace is trying to return the early race favor to Greg Biffle and give him a little bump drafting help.
It's like a football game. After you had a couple of hits, it don't feel that bad now. So I'm going to get on up there and mix it up.
Can you hear me now?
That's a good run for Mike Wallace as we ride with his brother Kenny Wallace, though, here in the 23 car. But Mike and those guys qualified back in 27. They probably had one of the best Fords back at Speed Weeks during Daytona in the Busch Series. And they're showing it here again today. Have a new sponsor on board with them, Edie's Ice Cream. This is one of the best runs they've had.
Did you say ice cream?
Year. Ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream.
The best Ford at the moment is that one, the number 60 of Greg Biffle. And they are 4 wide right behind him, going off into the corner.
Now that's why we put the out of bounds line in, was to keep people from going in that corner 4 wide and sometimes even trying it 5 wide. That's where we've had a big problem here at Daytona, or here at Talladega and Daytona in the past.
And this racetrack is plenty wide enough for 4, even 5 wide. But what happens, these cars start moving around. One guy makes one mistake. That's how we end up with a big car pileup.
Well, what usually happens is the left tires get down on the flat. And when it comes back up in the racetrack, you hit the guy beside you and cause a big wreck.
Don't look now. I'm not sure Michael is points racing anymore in that 99 car. He's up there battling for the lead. Is there 3 wide for the lead right now?
He heard what I said. You know, every time I say something like he tries to make me look bad.
Plus, I'm sure Jerry Baxter and those guys made that car a little better on that pit stop.
I'm thinking you're right. I think everybody made their car better.
A big gap there.
But it's the bottom lane that's been fastest for Martin Truex and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Of course, having everybody 3 wide behind you certainly helps.
I mean, we have 29 cars within 2 seconds of each other right here.
I just think whatever lane, it's just like it's been here for the last 3 years. Whatever lane that 8 or 81 is in, that's the fast lane.
Robbie Gordon broke out to now run 3rd. Mike Wallace is 4th, right behind the leaders. And Johnny Sauter right with him, and Mike Bliss.
But Darryl, you're right. Kyle Busch in that 5 car, remember, he had to start at the back of this pack because of making that pit stop to fix the coolant, and he's already up there in the 13th position.
Yeah, I was watching, man. He was going left, right, down the middle. He's going wherever he wanted to.
Now, Dale Jr. up high in that 81. Why did he abandon his teammate up front? Now, can Truex get back to the high groove and pick up Dale Jr.?
I think he's going to leave. He's almost leaving the bottom open for Robbie Gordon right here. Don't know if that's a good idea or not. Don't think so. Bye, Martin.
But you know what? The groove that he's running right there, all the races he's won here in the Busch Series, even with the other aero package, he's always run a little bit up off the bottom.
Kyle Busch with that taped up nose works fine in the draft. Truex did go up top. He did come back to pick up Dale Jr. Maybe, Darryl, it's just to see if they got out of line, can they get back to the front, going to school for later in the race.
That'd be pretty smart for that rookie if he's thinking that way. Of course, Dale Jr. might be talking to him, too. Because Dale Sr. used to talk to him. I know that.
Dick Berggren?
Well, Jr. really wanted to run up a bit higher, and he talked to his teammate, Martin Truex, and suggested that they both go up there. But Truex could not understand the transmission. He asked his crew chief, what does he want me to do? And by the time they got the communication sorted out, Jr. was already upstairs, Truex was by himself, and that's what happened.
Yeah, you only have about a half a second to make that decision.
And see, that's the problem with trying to work with someone or work together. You end up jeopardizing both of you. Drive your own car, do your own thing. Maybe I'll run into you at the end of the day.
Did you mean to say run with you?
Oh, I mean run with you at the end of the day.
The Aaron's 312 on Fox is brought to you by Old Spice Red Zone. Spice things up. By Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Get lost in a Reese's. By Yamaha. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. And by Subway. Eat fresh. 57 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. Live action with Robbie Gordon leading Mike Wallace. Kyle Busch, Jeff Hammond, is all the way up to 3rd.
Yeah, they did some quick work on that number 5 car. He had heating problems early on, and they've definitely got it fixed, and he has come to the front in a hurry.
We've already had a dozen lead changes in the last 2 years in this race at a combined total of 14 lead changes. Let's check back in on the 5 with Matt Yoakum.
Kyle Busch, his spotter, Chris Osborne, is navigating that 5 car to the front on the bottom in 3rd. All he has said, gauges look great. The car, awesome. Chris?
All right, thanks, Matt. Ron Hornaday is currently right behind him, running fourth. Robbie Gordon, who's finished seventh or better in 3 of his last 4 races and has completed more than 99.6% of his laps run this season, still holding on to the lead.
Definitely hang on to the lead right there, but I'm really impressed right now with Mike Wallace. And guys, he picked up a new sponsor today with Edie's Ice Cream, and he's looking pretty sweet, making it to the front right now. But Mike's a really good restrictor plate racer. Several times he's had some really good runs at Daytona as well as here at Talladega, so he knows how to get it done here.
Mike Wallace, of course, brother Kenny Wallace, who led a little bit earlier in the race, and brothers of Rusty Wallace, we'll see in action tomorrow, coming off his big win last week. How about the pole sitter, the rookie Boyer?
He is sticking right there with his teammate right now on the line. We watch Michael Walker go outside the pole sitter in the Dream Machine. Again, Michael is one of the veterans who knows how to get it done, but I'm still impressed with what Clint Boyer's doing. He's following instructions of Mike Dillon and Richard Childress. Stay on that bottom, stay with your teammates.
So you got the RCR DEI thing happening here, and Michael Waltrip currently running 6th and moving on up. He's the leader in points in the Busch Series. Let's go back upstairs, rejoin Mike, Larry, and Darrell.
Clint Boyer, you see there running in 5th, that orange number 21. On point, Robbie Gordon's 55, Darrell. Looks like the car to beat, but here it's so easy to get double teamed.
It really is. I mean, it's just a matter of, am I going to be here at the end of the day? But the thing I would tell anybody if they were driving my car, that yellow line is your best friend. Use it. They can go around, they can get up on the outside all day long. I don't care. Stay on the yellow line.
Because if you're right there where Robbie Gordon, Mike Wallace is in the 4 car, they can't go under you.
They can't go under you. So you just ride the yellow line.
You know, Mike and Darrell, as we watch Kyle Busch, right now we're watching 3 wide with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 81 car on the outside. But we were talking about Kyle Busch in the 5 car as he continues to lose a little more tape. But I still think he's okay because that was just tape that was sealing that frame they put around there. They punched such a hole in the front of that car. He's back there in dirty air right now. I mean, he went from 30th to 3rd in 9 laps. Now the challenge would be the fact that if he's leading, can he still lead with that big of a hole in the nose?
Boy, that would change conventional wisdom, wouldn't it? Here's a look at that nose. And let's show you what it looked like before that tape patch
it's just
started to come out.
That's just, they put it around that screen wire they put up there. I don't think he's got a problem. Looks like they've attached that with some of those metal screws like we've seen some other teams do this year. Just a piece of tape. It'd be very distracting if you're back there behind me.
Wondering what that's coming at me.
Robbie Gordon is trying to become the 4th different driver to win a Busch race at Talladega in a car he owns. Ernie Irvan did it in 92. Kenny Schrader in 94, Joe Nemechek in 98 and in 2000. Mike Bliss was 5th on the restart. He faded to 10th, and now he's climbing back up through to 8th place at the moment in his number 20, Steve.
And Mikey also got as high as 3rd after that pit stop. He's a little concerned about water temperatures. His gauge read 250 degrees, so periodically he'll duck out of line, Mike, to help the front end of that car and then the power plant cool down.
Johnny Sauter alongside in the 27 as they fight for 8th place.
We've just got a hot day with good old Alabama humidity, and I just think that has thrown these guys a curve, because how many cars have we heard that's running hot?
Is that the Birmingham boy and you coming out?
Oh, I'm used to that humidity.
Yeah, and it's so annoying to have a car where you can't go where you want to because you got to keep an eye on the water temperature.
Well, Joe Nemechek almost got a little boot there from Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he slid up high.
There it is, with about as much humidity, not far behind it.
Robbie Gordon, after 65 laps, is our leader. We're just past halfway in the Aaron's 312 on Fox. Robbie Gordon continues to engineer a 190-mile-an-hour freight train around Talladega. Gordon has now led 43 laps. He's led 4 times as he holds off Mike Wallace's Ford, Kyle Busch, Ron Hornaday, pole sitter Clint Boyer, and outside front row starter Michael Waltrip.
Obviously, they're trying to get up there to him, but a couple times he's fallen back. He's worked his way right back into the lead. That's a strong automobile today.
Now, Larry, we've had 2 cautions for debris and for a slow car, none due to contact. But the pit stops that have been made will probably not allow anybody to go to the distance.
No, they were on pit road, most all of them at lap 47.
Nemechek again got a boot from Junior and almost lost it.
Junior is wearing him out. He's pushing him into turns, and I know he knows better.
That'll take your breath.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Joe is saying the same thing. Hey, man.
Well, I mean, we were talking earlier. That's like bump drafting in the corner, and that don't work.
No, you can't do that. You got to be pretty much going in a straight line, or else you're going to get a guy in trouble. Look at Mike Wallace jump up there on the outside, but I don't think that's going to work.
So, Larry, you catch my breath there. Whoa.
It's getting, you know, all of a sudden it's gotten real. Is there something going on we don't know about?
Yeah, they keep telling them the race is getting shorter to the end, I think is what it is.
And we were talking about the fact that we'll probably need one more pit stop.
And we just saw a piece of, I think we may have saw debris come off of a car right there. But yeah, these guys were on pit road about lap 47. They needed to go to about lap 62 to 67 to be able to make it to the end.
There's Junior getting Nemechek way out of shape.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, if there's debris, it came from Nemechek, be my guess.
Well, let's see from Dale Jr.'s onboard camera.
Just gets into him off the corner here a little too hard. They are making time. They're headed to the front, but bam, man.
Little piece of body work there.
I think that's the part that someone just ran over it. It's not there anymore.
Mike Wallace got the lead in all that, and Michael Waltrip got the front spot on the inside row in the 99.
Probably looks like he's pushing up a little bit in the middle of the corner, Larry. Can't keep it right down on that bottom, on that yellow line like he had been.
See where that piece of debris came from.
Ooh, there she goes. We've got more stuff flying around today.
Is that again part of the patch on Kyle Busch's car? It was right in that area.
It was right in that area of those cars.
Look like it.
Yeah, it came from the first, second, or third row right there.
Take great shots by our Fox cameraman, but at 190 miles an hour, it's hard to tell.
And you know, as I watched Joe Nemechek in the 87 car and Greg Biffle in the 60, that back up there battling in the top 5 or 6, it wasn't but about 4 or 5 laps to go. They were just barely in the top 20 once again. That's the product of this aero package. You can go back, but you can come back to the front.
And it's all a timing thing. You got to start thinking about way before the race gets down near the end. Where am I going to be when they put the white flag out?
Clear.
Dale Jr. in the 81 has gone way to the top of the racetrack. That gives room for 4 wide racing. Here's Johnny Sauter.
Oh, did you get out of the throttle, Mike? He had to get out for Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, you can run 4 wide through the corner, but that's just a little bit narrow. And I think we know where the debris came from right there. Johnny Sauter, the 27 car, that right side window is gone. And they're going to black flag him. They will not let him stay out there without that, with the window being gone. There it is right there. That's what we saw on the backstretch a while ago. Couldn't really figure out where it came from.
So Sauter will have to pit and have that replaced if he's going to continue. That's that side glass is in there for safety reasons. If the car gets sideways to prevent it from getting airborne. Here comes Robbie Gordon back to the top side, back for the lead.
They shake him out of the lead, but it doesn't take him long to get right back up there. He has really got a fine car today.
But it's the same car he had at Daytona that he ran in the top 5 all day long. You know, just going back to Johnny Sauter's dilemma, most of the major teams have a spare right side window in the pits, but if they don't, I guarantee you they're scrambling right now trying to find one.
Sauter up in the high groove, unable to get down to the bottom of the racetrack to pit. As we completed 75 laps, and Kyle Busch. We're about to find out if that car can run out front with that big gaping hole in the nose.
I don't think it's gaping as bad as we think. That piece they put on there, just pretty nice repair job. You can see how much is just open a little bit right there in the center. They must have been planning on that problem.
Hey, he got quite a shove by Mike Wallace in the 4 car. Michael Waltrip in the 99 down the backstretch that time going into turn 3. You don't want to get too big a lead there, Kyle. Those guys do what they did to Kenny Wallace a while ago.
Yeah, inhale you.
That's pretty impressive. He restarted back there in about 28th spot and worked his way all the way through that traffic and into the lead.
Here comes the side window. A crewman had to run back to the garage area and get it. Kept in its protective case, and it'll be ready for duty.
They had it with them. It just wasn't in the pits.
.38 laps to go in the Aaron's 312 at Talladega for NASCAR's Busch Series. Martin Truex Jr. leading Joe Nemechek by officially 1/10 of a second. Robbie Gordon, Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch led a bit ago, asking us to wonder who is the only driver who won their first Busch Series start at Talladega. There are 10 of them making their first start today. Who did it? Isn't the answer to every question Mark Martin?
That would be my guess, but Larry, I already know the answer, so you
I didn't see that in the book.
Greg Sacks.
Greg Sacks, yeah.
1996.
Yeah.
And just to update you on Johnny Sauter, he is almost 2 laps down. He's back on the racetrack, but I think they are black flagging him again. They don't like the way that window has to be in there a certain way. It has to be inset, and you can't just stick it across the outer edge of it. So he's going to have to be back to pit road.
Yeah, there's enough air pressure differential between the side of the car and the cockpit that if you just tried to tape it in there, it'd blow right back out and cause a safety problem.
And this will be a big hit for Johnny because he did come into the race 7th in the Busch Series points.
And we've got us another leader up there. I don't think Nemechek's led all day, and he's leading the race right now.
You know, we're riding with Ashton Lewis Jr., the 46 car here, as you see Kenny Wallace in the 23 go by him, but that car right in front of him, that's Steve Grissom in the 36 car. Now, even though Steve lives in the North Carolina area, this is his home racetrack. He's one of the only Alabama game that exists right now, his hometown in Gadsden, and he grew up racing just across the street from Talladega at the Talladega short track, the dirt track over there. Good run for Steve, though. Ricky Pearson looking after that car as the crew chief.
Yep, former Busch Series champion.
DCT, which stands for Dreams Come True. Number 36, white and blue. There's Grissom 17th on the right of your screen. On the inside, behind the orange, 21 of pole sitter Clint Boyer.
You know, I mentioned that car right behind him, Ashton Lewis Jr. in the 46 car. He has someone new helping him. We talked about Paul Andrews. Now coming over to Casey Kane, James Ince, who was the crew chief for Johnny Benson on the 10 car on the Cup Series. He's helping this group out. Remember, James Ince almost won the Daytona 500 with Johnny Benson not that many years ago.
Mike Wallace to the inside, pulling down on Joe Nemechek, our leader. The 9th time Nemechek has led a Busch race here at Talladega. Jeannie.
Well, gentlemen, wasn't it just a handful of laps back that we were asking if anything was wrong with Nemechek? And there wasn't, quite honestly. The way they would explain it in the 87 pit, just the way the deck shuffled for them this time, and he got bounced back. It's Talladega. He has a great car. He came in at the pit stop, and they made no adjustments. Gave him 4 scuffs. Very pleased with the car. I guess Nemechek's biggest problem here today, he doesn't have any friends. Everybody knows how successful he has been here, so they can't find anybody to work with him to help get him up to the front and then maybe keep him up at the front.
Robbie Gordon's got a friend. It's lean on me, brother. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he leaned on Gordon's rear bumper all the way down the front straightaway.
Yeah, he leaned him right back into the lead.
Dick Berggren.
We'll see how long that lasts, Mike, because Junior had to pull out of the tightness that he was running before, because when he's right on another car's bumper for too many laps, the engine gets hot. So he had to back out. That put him a little bit back. The engine cooled down, and now he's getting aggressive again and moving forward.
And you saw that closing rate I was talking about. Dale Jr. caught Robbie Gordon and just shot by him on the outside, and that's the burst of speed you get with this.
Got one looking outside.
Ron Hornaday.
They got a nose on your quarter
outside
panel.
Outside, he's back in the mix here.
And that's what happens again with this aero package. You go to the back, and then you work your way back to the front. That's why some of the drivers complained about it, but it makes exciting racing.
But when they completed the lap before this, when he came across the line in 7th, he led that lap.
20 lead changes today. The most in a Busch Series race here, 30 in 1994. Now, before this was the Busch Series, back in 1979, there were 40 lead changes here at Talladega.
We may have that many today if we keep going like we are.
A great competitive and so far safe race here at Talladega. One pit stop to come before we complete the 312 miles. And trouble on the right front. Donnie Neuenberger.
He had some right front damage. I saw him go by earlier.
Caution is out, so that'll pretty much put the pit strategy out of the equation, because everyone certainly will be able to make it from this pit stop. I think the question will be, we may see some teams try just 2 right side tires since everybody changed 4 tires on that last pit stop.
The free pass will go to Kim Crosby, number 51, one of 2 women drivers in the race. Tina Gordon is the other. That's the first car 1 lap down at the moment of caution.
We get a pit stop out of the way.
And Donnie Neuenberger has put us under caution for the 3rd time today. The Aaron's 312 on Fox is brought to you by Aaron's. Let Aaron's drive your dreams home today. By Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner. By DuPont Car Care Products. And by Taco Bell, where you can spice up the night. I think that's how we boogity.
Boogity.
They didn't ask us. Pit road is closed under this third caution caused by Donnie Neuenberger hitting the wall with the right front of his number 77. Ron Hornaday is our leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Joe Nemechek, Martin Truex, Robbie Gordon, as they'll come around and look for the final pit stop of the day. Dick Bergman?
Junior just keyed his radio and told the crew, those gauges sure are funny. There was a pause in the action, and the crew said, what do you mean they look funny? He said, I ain't never seen gauges point that far down before. Running hot when he's running behind people, so they're going to tear a piece of tape off Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s nose, try to cool that car down so he can run up close to other people.
And in the heat today, they've allowed each team an extra man over the wall to service the driver.
These extra laps is just giving those crew chiefs a little more time to think about, do I want to try 2 here or do I want to do 4 and be safe?
Well, crew chief, what do you want to do?
I believe with no more laps than we've had, if I've got a good handling race car, I may try 2, but those cars that's been loose, I don't think they can get by with 2. They need to change 4. I know what my driver wants.
I'm not leaving until I get 4, so you better make it quick.
All right, here they come to pit road. Let's start with Jeannie.
Well, Joe Nemechek's crew chief, Brian Patty, made his decision minutes ago, guys, as soon as the caution came out that they would indeed go with 4 tires. He's had a great car all day. He's called for a nice stop, nothing crazy, business as usual, and minimal fuel and the 4 stickers, the brand new tires. Get yourself a good drink. Steve?
Ron Hornaday and Jeannie, they've talked about right side tires only, and that's it. 2 tires. Matt?
Steve, a 4-tire change expected for Robbie Gordon. No adjustments. Michael Waltrip was talking about 2. They're going 4, Dick.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s regular Nextel Cup team is pitting this car today with the exception of the Jackman. Brian Chase replaces Kevin Pinnell. 4 tires, fuel, no changes whatever with the chassis. They got the tape off, but Casey Atwood got in front of Junior as he was trying to get out, and that slowed his exit from the pits.
Of the contenders, Ron Hornaday and Robbie Gordon, along with Martin Truex, got the best exit off pit road.
Yeah, and the big deal there is the 2 car got 2 tires. Robbie got 4 tires.
And what I do believe is David Green in the 37 and Robert Presley in the 47 still on the lead lap. It appears, by the way, they came off pit road. They probably changed just 2 right side tires as well.
I just don't, with this aero package, I mean, you can pass. I'd get me 4 fresh tires.
Collision on pit road. Mike Wallace, and here comes Casey Kane out, tips into the back of Wallace. All it does is square up Kane and he gets going. Meanwhile, a tire gets away from one crew.
It's not my tire.
Be hard finding somebody that claim it.
They just leave it laying out there.
Mike Harmon, I believe. And the hood's been up on Kenny Wallace's car. Dick Bergman?
Well, the reason the hood has been up on Kenny Wallace's car, Mike, is that he has been overheating. In fact, the crew pulled a little water exchanger toward the front of the pit road area so they could exchange some of the hot water in that radiator for some cool water. Wallace had been running up in the front until that thing started to overheat. He was forced to have to pick a line of his own way up high, drop back. Now they're just trying to save the engine.
Things get hot, and it's going to get hotter when these cars get together and battle for the lead. Less than 30 laps to go. 29 cars on the lead lap at Talladega.
The Aaron's 312 on Fox is brought to you by WebMD, redefining modern medicine, and by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. Eating good in the neighborhood. Applebee's. 28 laps to go. Under caution, Ron Hornaday Jr., your leader, and our Old Spice lap leaders. Up to the moment here, Robbie Gordon has led the most so far, followed by Hornaday. Martin Truex Jr. currently running third with Jeff Hammond. Chris Myers in the Hollywood Hotel. You got your Old Spice on? It's hot out here.
I surely do.
Okay, you smell real nice. Your thoughts on Hornaday with the 2-tire decision? You agree or not?
No, I disagree with Ron Hornaday. I think right now, with this new aero package, you want to have the car as stable as possible. So get you 4 tires. They're going to gang up on you anyway. I'm looking for the 8, 81, and probably 87 to get hooked up and come to the back anyway. But that 55 car, I still think he's a car to beat.
Well, let's get some thoughts from Larry McReynolds. I think Darrell agrees with you. I don't know if Larry does. Larry?
Well, I'm seeing about 6 cars that's in the top 10 right now that changed just 2 tires. Ron Hornaday did, David Green, Robert Presley, Paul Menard, Ashton Lewis, and Johnny Benson. All those guys elected to go with 2 tires. But when you look at a lot of those guys I named, they were back there running 20th to 25th, so they had nothing to lose just trying to get some track position. But I'm like Darrell. You can pass here now.
Yeah.
You know, you go back to the old rules, you couldn't pass. So the more I've thought about it, Darrell has convinced me that the fact that I believe 4 tires is the way to go.
Well, hey, way to go, buddy.
I'm not convinced him. Because those guys with 2, you'll be sorry.
I'm with you, D.
Darrell, you're Robbie Gordon. You've got the fastest car from what we've seen so far today. You've got Martin Truex right behind you, but you're not up in the lead. What do you do on this restart?
Well, one thing you don't want to have happen is to start getting past and fall way back into the field, because you run out of time to get. He can get back to the front, so it's going to be a timing thing. He needs to stay as close to the front as he can, because he's shown time and time again he can get the lead, but he don't want to get too far deep in the field.
All right, Matt Yoakum is down with Robbie Gordon's crew, who've been the class of the field all day.
Mike, big RCR horsepower under that hood, but a lot of horsepower here on pit road. Robbie Gordon's Nextel Cup pit crew guys servicing that Chevrolet. Let's give a call out to him. Ira Joe Hussey, Timmy Latiga, Mike Moore, Larry Hartle, Kevin Nervania, and Matt Cruder. These guys have done an excellent job today, flawless on pit road. And now Robbie just has to do the rest and put that car in victory lane. Steve?
Well, Matt, with crew chief Butch Hilton. Butch, let's talk about your decision to change 2 tires on Ron Hornaday's car.
Well, we've been a little bit free all day, and actually got pretty loose there that time. So maybe the 2 tires will help tighten us up a little bit, and we can get a little track position here and see what happens. You know, we need to win a race, and sure like to do that for AC Delco, and maybe this will be our best chance.
All right, good luck to you. Let's go to Chris Myers.
All right, Ron Hornaday, 45 years old from Palmdale, California. He's the landlord to the Stars. Kevin Harvick moved out to California. He rented to him, and then he did the same for Jimmy Johnson, so he certainly has been good to some drivers. This may be his moment. Robert Presley in the 47 car from Asheville, North Carolina, came back with his father ailing in the hospital, currently 3rd here, racing with a heavy heart.
Yeah, definitely so. But I mean, Robert Presley, he is a racer. He knows what his father would wish, and his father would be saying, Robert, go down there, do your job. And if you're going to say anything that's not, you know, real profound, win this one for me, buddy. Go down and get one for me.
And David Green, you talked about strategy throughout the day, the guys in the booth. Hey, who can drop back, how far you can move up. David Green, an example of working the field.
Yeah, these guys right there had strategy early on as far as falling back and trying to stay out of trouble along with Bobby Hamlin Jr. And we find these gentlemen have worked their way back up the front along with Robert Presley and got themselves in position to make a good run.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has led, currently 9th. Let's check in on him with Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, Junior's a cool guy. This is the tape that had been on the grill just before that pit stop. They pulled it off. They're hoping this is all it's going to take to let his engine cool down so he can move forward with the race.
Getting set to go here as part of a full weekend of racing that continues tomorrow, starting with NASCAR this morning on Fox Sports Net. The Aaron's 499 Nextel Cup race is on Fox, 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Well, if you don't have a seat belt on your television, you better go get one real fast, because it's fixing to get rough.
NASCAR all weekend across the Fox networks. Ron Hornaday, the leader, with 2 fresh tires, as has David Green, Robert Presley, Robbie Gordon with 4 tires, Martin Truex Jr., rookie Paul Menard, Ashton Lewis, Joe Nemechek, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Johnny Benson are the top 10 as they come off turn 4. And they're getting ready to look at the green flag, perhaps for the final time today.
And we still have 29 cars on the lead lap with 26 laps to go.
The last of those, Kim Crosby in the Boudreaux's butt paste number 51, who just got the free pass.
Green flag.
Ron Hornaday drags him back to pit 1.
We have a few cars on the inside line that are cars are 1 or more laps down, but only about 4 or 5 of them. That outside line should move around them.
Like I said, if I'm Robbie Gordon, I'm going to do everything I can to get into the lead right now, and I'm not going to give it up. He's been good out front all day long. He just needs somebody to help him get back up there.
David Green loses number 37 to the outside, the Timberwolf Chevy. And Robert Presley looking for somewhere to go. Here comes Robbie Gordon underneath Robert.
But Darrell, Robert Presley did exactly what you was talking about early. He gave the bottom up. Robbie Gordon, he's going to fill that hole.
Yep. That yellow line is your best friend. Get on it.
They heard you.
Problem is, everybody wants on it. They can't all get down there at once.
Through the tri-oval, back to the start-finish line. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 81 has caught his teammate Martin Truex. They're the first two cars on the outside. Let's see if, as they did before, they can bring that outside line back to the front.
I believe when Junior holds his car wide open, he'll probably go to the front, because I don't think he's held it wide open yet.
Inside.
Rookie Paul Menard comes into view on the left.
Hear the RPMs of the car. They never change even through the corner. That's a sign right there. He is wide open right now.
With fresh tires on these cars, there'll be a lot of maneuvering going on because they feel real good. They're sticking good. Come see the cars really dicing.
And Darrell, I think that's the key to those 4 tires versus 2. It's not that it makes you faster. It just you can maneuver your car. You can turn it to the bottom if you need to.
And the difference was through the tri-oval. Hornaday, with only 2 fresh tires, really lost a lot of speed coming through the tri-oval, and the outside line just streamed by him.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way. If everybody took 2, you're okay. But when you take 2 and everybody else takes 4, adios. What do you think, Spencer? Jimmy Spencer's up here with us. He's like I am. He's pacing back and forth. This makes you nervous, doesn't it, buddy?
Jimmy spent much of the day next door in the NASCAR officials booth.
He's got them straightened out over there now. They're going to know they got their marching orders.
So he came over to work on us. Here's Robbie Gordon to the high side. Mike Wallace is with him as Gordon way up high. Now it's 3 wide, and Gordon has no help.
Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is beating the rear bumper off the car he owns up there, that 8 car, Martin Truex. But I think, Darrell, Martin Truex, he needs to use that yellow line right now. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has not a lot of help behind him, at least for now. Greg Biffle's bringing the group up there, but Martin Truex, he needs to hug that yellow line.
What you got to watch out for when you're out front, like those 2 cars are, is that closing rate again I keep talking about. You're going to get chased down in a hurry by somebody, and it looks like it might be that 5 car.
Yeah, a big lead is nice at every racetrack we go to except for here in Daytona.
You're set and done. But now that means the people behind you got to be smart too and work together. Right now, that doesn't look like it's happening.
21 laps to go when they get back to the stripe. Lots of time.
Now Kyle Busch in the 5 car, he's trying to form a group up there in the high side. Joe Nemechek behind him in the 87 car. They've got Jason Leffler in the 00 car right in front of them.
And we got Mr. Bump Draft running 3rd. I mean, he is all over the back of Dale Jr. The problem with that is if he bumps into Dale Jr., Dale Jr. bumps into Truex, might get a chain reaction.
I tell you, I just continue to be impressed with this run by Mike Wallace in that 4 car. Those guys, they did not qualify very well, qualified 27th, but they knew based on Daytona, same race car, they had a good race car. There you see Mike in the 4 car.
He is in 5th place. Jason Leffler leads the outside group as he comes back up into the top 5. It's still anybody's race here in Talladega. It'll be 17 laps to go, and they come.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Around goes the 38.
The 4.
The 1, the 33.
Look out pit road, look out pit road, look out pit road.
The 46, the 95,
Johnny
and the
Benson.
12.
You know, that's a place we've not normally seen the big wreck breakout right in the middle of the tri-oval.
I believe with this package that through the tri-oval, when people get under you, it just loosens you up just enough to get you sideways.
Mike Bliss, Casey Kane climbs out of his car. He's okay. That's the car that ended up against the pit wall. Tim Fedewa's car still wrecked in the grass. At lap 100, 17 laps to go. Fedewa has put the window net down, so he'll be able to climb out. There's Ashton Lewis with damage to the rear. And the right front down, Dick Berggren.
With Casey Kane just got out of his car, what was it like out there?
It was fun all day. It was
no, I mean just now.
Racing. It was great racing, but I don't know. I saw a couple cars hit, and I knew I was going to be involved in it. And it's too bad. We had a good car. I got back there a little bit. I was trying to work my way back through, but tough day.
We're glad you're okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Thanks, Casey.
Car's done. that one along with Tim Fedewa and Mike Bliss. Those cars look like they're finished for the day. There's damage to the rear of the 46 of Ashton Lewis, among others. Let's see what happened here. Coming into the tri-oval to complete lap 100. Bottom of your screen.
Like Mike Wallace got a little bit loose right there like you talked, Darrell, and then came back up into the car that was on the outside
Yeah,
of it.
he bounced off a biffle, and when he did, there was a car under him, and they got together, and then away they went.
Of course, half the field's behind him here shortly after a restart.
Boy, everybody jacked up from behind him.
Tell you what, the tri-oval here, I know people, you know, you just don't realize how you're going 190 mile an hour through a tri-oval that's got 14 degrees of banking. Can suck you around in a hurry.
This would be looking from like pit road.
Casey Kane turned around.
Typical Talladega wreck.
Yeah.
2 cars get together, 12, 13 cars end up being victim.
Yeah, Benson slammed up into the wall, and Bliss.
Well, watch that 38 car go all the way across pit lane and slam right into it right there.
In real time. Let's have another look.
And in real time, that means at 190 plus miles per hour. That was riding with Ashton Lewis. Looked like at one point he almost made it through the wreck.
Man, those are hard licks.
Into the safer barrier. And driving away. Jason Keller.
He was one of the lucky ones. He made it through. Remember, Jason was one of the ones at the beginning of the race had the strategy of staying behind everybody to try to see if they could get out of the big wreck.
Here are the cars involved in the wreck. Benson, Wallace, Fedewa, Bliss, Grissom, and Kane. There's Kane's car. Lewis, Compton, and David Keith. Now, more than half of those cars were able to drive away. I'm going to add Paul Menard to that list, the 33 who spun down to the grass off of Benson. Now watch the 38 of Kane. He's up against the outside wall, just to show you how much speed they're carrying through here. Misses everybody. Comes to rest against the inside wall. From Dale Jr.'s pit, they see it unfold.
That's why I always preach to my guys, no matter where you're at, never turn your back on that racetrack.
Johnny Benson's car under repair. Dick Bergman.
And what they're trying to do here, Mike, is just get this car fixed enough so that Benson can make one more lap. That would give him additional points over those cars which cannot make that additional lap. So if they can get this thing to run and just make a lap, it's going to be worth some championship points to Benson, and that is the point of what they're doing.
Yeah, and he just had moved in the top 10 in points after the Nashville race a couple of weeks ago. He was in 10th.
We'll be back to sort things out and get restarted. We still have 15 laps to go here in Talladega. 4th caution of the day. It's for the big one in the tri-oval. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Welcome back to Talladega, where Martin Truex Jr. is the leader. We are inside of 15 laps to go, working the 4th caution of the day for a multi-car crash in the tri-oval. Jeannie?
And standing by Mike Bliss. I guess for you it was just wrong place, wrong time. You're telling me you just saw smoke, and then before you know it, you're standing here.
Yeah, we, the Rockwell at Mason Chevrolet was good, just like everybody else. We could go to the front, go to the rear, and go back to the front. But I was just kind of, you knew it was going to start getting hairy because it was time to go, and we were starting to move up. And I saw coming through the tri-oval smoke, and a car turned, and I let off the gas, and I got hit in the rear. And you just... The whole race has been pretty clean. We were all just kind of behaving, and then it was time to go, and you kind of didn't expect it, but you just hoping it wouldn't happen, but it happened.
Disappointing finish, but I'm glad to see you're doing okay.
All right, thanks.
Well, Jeannie, there was reason not to expect it. We've had several looks at the different replays trying to find the cause of this incident, Darrell.
If you watch this car right down here at the bottom of the screen, this purple car, when we come through the tri-oval, you see these guys back here 1, 2, 3 wide already. Mike Wallace is starting to say, okay, I got this guy down here in my way, and the hole is closing. As this car comes up, Mike runs out of room, and he gets into the side of Biffle, bounces off of Biffle into the purple car, and that's what caused the wreck.
That's Jimmy Kitchens, who was 5 laps down at the time, trying to hold the bottom of the racetrack down on the inside, which is where the lap cars are supposed to be, but not getting quite far enough to the inside. And what a mess. Interested spectator up here joining us in the booth after a trip next door with the NASCAR folks is Jimmy Spencer.
It's only fair. I got Larry and Jeff. They gang up on me all the time. I need a driver buddy. I got a driver buddy.
I'm here, DW. You know that. I've watched so many times. Hammond, he never lets you go. And this guy picks on you every time he can. Mike, you're the only guy. You try to keep peace. I know that.
Well, you know what's fun about picking on Hammond is normally you don't even know we're picking on him. So.
I won't go there.
But Jimmy, it's good to see you back. You ran the Daytona 500 and sat at home, watched us on Fox for a few weeks, but now you're back in that 4-car.
Yeah, you know, and you guys do a great job. I will say that sitting home watching it, but it is. It's good to be back with Morgan McClure. We got a pretty good car for tomorrow, you know, and we don't have a sponsor yet. We're trying to find a sponsor, but we didn't qualify quite as well as we wanted to, top 25, which isn't too bad. The car's running really good in the draft, and what a race today. I mean, incredible.
I like this aero package. Now, you've driven it more than I have, but this seemed to be the best package. I'd like to see this moved over to the Cup cars. What do you think?
Darrell, you know, watching today, racing this morning in happy hour and stuff, a lot of guys are forcing the issue, forcing to cut each other off. Every one of us has to do what we have to do to try to stay ahead of somebody.
And Jimmy, has this become the new danger spot here?
Well, like Darrell and I were talking before, that is the worst part on this racetrack because the car gets real loose, Mike. The car gets real free. And like he said, Mike Wallace was just trying to give enough room, and I blame the 39 car. I mean, he should have been down. He's laps down. He should say, guys, race, and that's what caused that accident. That's what marred this race. Luckily, nobody got hurt. We're going to still see a great finish. But all in all, I think this package, Darrell, is awesome. I think that NASCAR needs to look at this package for the Cup side.
I agree.
All right, we're going to get back under the green flag in just a bit here. Let's go back down to Chris and Jeff.
All right, thanks. Jimmy Spencer starts 23rd tomorrow. You'll see it on Fox. He's won a dozen Busch Series races in his career.
And as DW likes to say, oh, by the way, I heard what you said. And Jimmy, I appreciate what you said.
Yes, Jimmy said he knows you, so he won't pick on you.
That's
All
right.
right, let's take a look with about a dozen laps to go here. So we won't have a single file restart as we stand at the moment. Mark Truex Jr. with his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. as we look at the board, currently 4th.
Well, a little bit like we saw in that last restart, lap down cars could be a factor as they go back to green this next time by. They've got to be mindful of that. Hopefully those lap down cars will get out of the way and let these leaders kind of finish it. But during the course of that accident right there, I noticed something that Darrell said is very hard to do was Paul Menard. I mean, he cranked that car of his dead left whenever that accident came. And we see right here, we see Brian Patty trying to cut a deal, looks like with the 55 guys as far as his finish is concerned. And they both know that they need to get hooked up if they want to win this race.
Yeah, let's check in with Dick Berggren on the team of Truex and Jr.
Yeah, they're back on the radio again, Chris. Just sort of going back and forth again. Junior said he's probably not going to show up for work on Monday because he's going to have to go get a new pair of eyeglasses. He's been squinting all day. Truex wanted to say thanks for inviting him along. He's had a really fun time today. But perhaps most important in all of that, Earnhardt Jr. told Truex, don't let anybody get by your quarter panel. If they get close to your panel, they can get a run on you. So just get out of the way. Don't let them do that. So there's the master teaching the freshman.
All right, Dick, 26 cars will be on the lead lap when we go back to green. It'll be a double file restart as they go up in turn number 3. Getting set for the restart this time. Here's our DuPont Car Care race summary. 21 lead changes among 11 drivers. That's official changes at the start-finish line. 4 cautions, 19 laps. We're about to settle this one.
What they're talking about is side drafting. You get a side draft off of that car when you get alongside of it. And I tell you, Dale Jr. and his dad were the first people that I ever heard talk about side drafting. I think front to rear, but not the side. Matt, what you got?
Well, DW down in the 55 pit, Robbie Gordon third. He was third at Daytona. Brian Patty was down in the 55 pit talking to Bob Temple and the guys, and they had a long discussion and said, we will play if the 87 gets to us.
Yeah, it's just so hard when you got this many cars up there battling for the lead to make any deals. If you've only got 4 or 5, maybe you can.
Green flag. 11 to go. Tim Fedowa taken for a precautionary checkup to a local hospital. Everyone else treated and released. As Truex, Leffler, Gordon, Earnhardt Jr., and Kenny Wallace, the front 5. Presley, the 47, up there trying the outside on Hornaday. Here come the leaders.
See, Kenny Wallace in the 23, Joe Nemechek in 87. They were 3 wide off turn 2. They had to go by the lap car, the white car, Tina Gordon in the 10. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. lost a lot of ground to that front 3 as he had to go around or over in turn 1.
3 wide behind you.
But as we've seen all day, there are some cars that they time it right. They're going to be at the front. That's going to be the 55, the 23, probably the 81 and the 8.
But Darrell, you've mentioned this whole race, and I know Jimmy knows better as well you do. I think Martin's best friend, as we see Mike Harmon in 24 against the wall. We don't have caution yet.
And the wall over there on
just
turn
think
4.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
And it did fly right over the leader, Martin Truex.
And I was going to talk about this car. This has Davey Allison's name on the side of it. They have the Davey Allison Memorial over at BIR tonight.
Some debris or something. Just come down pit road here.
That's Birmingham International Raceway, about 45 minutes west of here. Johnny Benson out of the race. Steve is with him.
And Mike, Johnny just got out of the car. A lot of damage to that race car. What happened, Johnny?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, look, somebody got wrecked on the tri over there and got spun out, and you know, eventually it was going to happen. I was kind of hoping it didn't happen that late in the race, but Mickasuki Dodge us so we had a really bad overheating problem at the beginning. Got saved by the one caution. Car was good. We're just running a little hot and just wrong place.
Thanks, Johnny.
Stacy Compton will be the first car 1 lap down. He'll get the free pass. Mike Harmon was a lead lap car. He was having the best day of his season so far before he got up into the wall. The Quality Plus Services Chevy.
I think Mike lives right here near Alabama somewhere.
Yeah. Well, he actually lives in Mooresville now, but his hometown is here, Birmingport, right outside of Birmingham.
Oh, you're from here, aren't you?
Yep, I was raised there at BIR.
We're going to get this restarted. There's 10 laps to go right now. 5th caution of the day, but they will restart this race.
Our next restart will be a single file restart, a down finger, lead lap cars only to the front.
Talking about BIR, we used to go there and race. When somebody get mad at you, they say, I'm going to put you in the hog barn. The hog barn was out the end at the first turn down there. It was at the fairgrounds.
Okay. That's a lot different from being sent to the Oval Office.
Oh, yeah. But Darrell, you raced there, pretty unique racetrack.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you could get around Birmingham, you could get around about anywhere.
Donnie, Bobby, Neil, Red, all of them, that's where they all got their start. Smut Means, Alton Jones.
And congratulations to Red Farmer. Inducted this weekend into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, which for a short track dirt track driver, that's a heck of an accomplishment.
72 years old. I was over last night to the dirt track, watched him race Kenny Schrader and Tony Stewart. And the old rascal put a heck of a show on, led for the longest time and finished second. I think Tony beat him. But 72, Darrell, and still racing and looks good.
No, he does. He doesn't act like he's 72. I can tell you that.
The thing about it, he looks the same today as he did about 30 years ago when I was sitting in the grandstands at Birmingham.
He's helped so many people, many people through his career.
This is not BIR. This is the Talladega short track right across the street from the big super speedway where the World of Outlaws run tonight.
I'll tell you one thing, Red Farmer never bought a new piece of sheet metal in his life. He had the most beat up race cars I ever saw, but boy, would they run.
But that number, F97.
Yep. He was the leader of the Alabama gang. Along came Donnie and Bobby Allison, and later Bobby's protege Neil Bonnet. And then when Davey Allison started driving, Bobby enlisted Red as Davey's mentor for the longest time.
And of course, not to bring up anything really bad, but Red Farmer was in that helicopter that day when Davey crashed here at Talladega, and of course Red did survive it.
We're under caution for the 5th time as we are into the countdown laps, less than 10 to go. 2 Talladega Busch Series races have been settled by a last lap pass. In 1992, Ernie Irvan beat Dale Earnhardt on the last lap. And in 99, Terry Labonte passed Joe Nemechek on the final lap to win it. Dick Berggren.
With Bono Mannion, and his guy is leading the race. That's Martin Truex as the laps wind down. What do you do from here? How do you keep that thundering herd behind you?
That's a good question. Martin's been wondering the same thing. He said he needs an aspirin. He's been thinking so much after the race, but I think this caution helps a little bit, but it'll be probably 4, 5, 6 laps to go when we get back to green. Just try to get a good restart, stay out front.
And those 4, 5, 6 laps are going to be the most interesting and important of the whole day, Mike.
That's for sure. Truex, Jason Leffler in second. And don't discount Leffler. Although Robbie Gordon seems to have had the strongest car here today, Leffler's been up and beaten around the top 5 most all afternoon.
What's going to be interesting on the restart is it's going to take a lap to a lap and a half for sure just to get up to speed. So I think you're going to see some of the guys lay back a little bit on the restart. Hornaday, naturally, he won't. But I think they'll try to get that run, Darrell. You know, that run off that turn 2 and use that back straightaway to get up to speed. And then I think it'll get real exciting through the trioval.
But, Jimmy, that's where Mark Truex can't be snookered. Not a lot of experience at these speedways. He can't get a big lead on these guys.
No, I think that Dale Jr.'s already told him about that. And he's got a strong race car. It's going to be a heck of a finish.
Tomorrow, the Aaron's 499 for the Nextel Cup Series right here at Talladega on Fox. And here we still have 26 cars that'll restart on the lead lap. And all of them, the way things sort out here, have a chance to win it.
I was just thinking about Neil Bonnet, and he turned over right here in this trioval.
Yeah,
remember that?
Driving for Richard.
Driving for Richard when he was trying to make a comeback.
Yeah, driving the Bass Pro Shops 31.
31
it was.
Yeah, it was the first time Richard had used the 31 was for Neil. They're going to call this a quickie yellow, which means that everybody can pit the first time by. Then they're going to give them one to go, and we're going to race to the checker, we hope.
That's where we hopefully can have more green flag laps at the end.
Safer barrier you see there at the inside wall, just in front of the flag man, who signifies that pit road is open.
The other thing that the trioval has is the safer barrier as well. They put it through the trioval here. It just gives you an idea that if they have trouble, it can be pretty serious through here.
Well, will anybody stop?
If it is, it's going to be cars back there that's 24th, 23rd, 25th. Nobody at the front wheel.
Chris Myers.
Well, with 8 to go, Jeff, we want to take a look back at, because one of the drivers said that, hey, everybody was racing clean and behaving themselves, and then all of a sudden it's really more a case of too many cars going too fast in a small area. Let's take a look at the wreck with 17 laps to go. 10 cars were involved. You were talking about Paul Menard in the 33 car, how well he handled the situation, being caught up in all this.
You see the 21 and the 60 kind of bouncing off one another. Then all of a sudden Mike Wallace gets into the 60, but up across he collects the 12 car 10 feet away, and all of a sudden you see the 33. He just cut it dead left and spun his car out across the infield, which basically saved him. If you'll notice, the one car, Johnny Benson, who's right behind him, is caught up in the accident, is now in the garage area. So, I mean, a great move by this rookie, Paul Menard, saving his race car. They'll put 4 tires on that bad boy, and they'll be able to continue.
Tim Fido was taken to the hospital, as Mike Joy mentioned, for precautionary measures. Otherwise, everybody checked out okay, and that's the most important thing when you have these spectacular crashes here, which we always expect, and we anticipate more of that tomorrow.
And we surely do. And safety. We preach safety all the time as we look from inside of, on top of really Jason Keller's car, another guy who was able to miss this big one. And I understand right now that the 60 car, Greg Biffle, came to pit road, but he may have had some damage as far as he was bouncing off the 21 as well as the 4, so they may have come in to try to do some repairs to that car.
And check out the top drivers here. The top 9 cars are all Chevrolets. They have dominated most of the day. Of course, Biffle in a Ford, but Bobby Hamilton Jr. in a Ford, currently running 10th. But this has been Chevy's race.
It definitely has been Chevy's race, and it's going to really get hot and heavy as we get ready to have this restarted. For Mark Truex, tough place for a young man like himself.
7 laps to go, waiting for the quickie yellow. Let's rejoin Mike, Larry, and Darrell, and Jimmy.
A few new players in that group. Clint Boyer, the pole sitters, back up into the top 10 in 9th. Jason Keller now up to 12th. You had his in-car view a moment ago. Robert Presley 13th. Tony Raines 14th. Casey Atwood, Tracy Hines. They're all lead lap cars, along with David Green, Mike Wallace, Steve Grissom, and Smith. Matt?
Richard Childress told Clint Boyer on the radio, if you can get to the 2, help push the 2. They're talking about going to the outside. The 87 and the 5 were in on that conversation. Not sure if they're going to try to jump in and make that a 4 train on the outside to go to the front.
Jimmy Spencer, where do you want to be on the last lap when you get the white flag? You want to be leading, second, third, inside, outside, where?
Leading. I think you want to be leading this race and on the bottom, like Darrell said, and it's going to be interesting.
It is. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little treacherous. It's going to be fun.
Get ready. Here we go. This will be the most important restart of the day. 6 laps to go.
ready.
12 Busch races here, 11 different winners. We only have 2 previous winners in the top 10. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. as well as Joe Nemechek.
Truex, Leffler, Gordon, Earnhardt Jr. get a little bit of a break from Kenny Wallace and the rest of the field.
You know, Truex left the bottom open earlier for Robbie Gordon. He's almost leaving it open right there. Boy, you don't want to give those guys a chance to look under you.
Robbie Gordon in the 55 wanted to move to the high side. I think he looked back and saw nobody was coming with him. Everybody's hugging that yellow line down the back stretch.
Bunch of bottom suckers.
He opened it up. Yeah. Earnhardt Jr. in 81 is going to take it, as well as Kenny Wallace in the 23. He's out there. He's a sitting duck right now with no one to help him.
And there's not anybody going to jump out there with him. Well, here comes Nemechek, but I think it's too little too late.
Well, I think the reason Joe Nemechek felt comfortable doing it is there was a little bit of gap between him and the car behind him, but they're coming to 5 to go, boys.
Well, it's got to be a lonely feeling. Jump up there on the outside and find nobody in your mirror.
Now they're too wide again on the inside. Hornaday back and shuffled. Herman out.
Kenny Wallace, 23.
Herman.
But that'll be a good sign for Robbie Gordon. But he's going to go to the high side, make it 3 wide up there where he still has no help.
Kenny had to get out of the gas. Gordon couldn't lift, so he had to swerve.
Yeah, he didn't get out of the gas. He just made him another groove up there.
Look how far back they are again.
Yeah.
Single file in the inside, staying in line, and them guys up there battling, no way.
Jason Leffler got him loose, got Martin Truex loose, had to get out of the throttle. Dale Earnhardt Jr. took advantage of it.
Well, he got down below the yellow line, too.
Got a wheel down there. Not sure if it was avoidance.
He could have been forced down there, and they said they were going to take a look at it. If you got forced down there, that they would make a decision.
Now, Jason Leffler, who was just running second, he continues to lose spot. He's up there with no help.
Time, 4 to go.
And up front, the teammates are together. Truex and his mentor, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 1-2.
Watch the small gap behind you. You got about the same distance behind him.
Right now, our top 6 is single file.
You're not out of this thing, even if you're back in 7th, 8th, 9th place right now, until they get down to about 2 to go, because you can close so quickly.
Hornaday now 3rd. Rookie Kyle Busch in the 5 is 4th. Rookie Clint Boyer is 5th. Hamilton Jr., the highest he's been all day in that Marines number 25. 6th. David Green, Michael Waltrip, Jason Leffler, and Jason Keller, the top 10.
Martin opens the bottom up just ever so slightly off of turn 2 and 4, but he's got his car owner right behind him. I don't think he's probably going to pass him.
I don't either, Darrell. I think the 8 car is strong, though. If you watch him roll, they roll through the center.
Hornaday got Dale Jr. sideways.
Robbie Gordon still works the outside, but now that's the long road home. It's back at 10th place.
You got a hungry man in that 2 car right there. Ron Hornaday has not had the greatest season. His best finish is 7th back at Daytona. And remember, he's one of the only cars up here that has those 2 right side tires only. But he's driving the wheels off of it.
He had 8 there just a second ago. He had his 4 deal.
2 wide behind him. Michael's starting to work an outside lane, 3 cars back.
I actually think that Hornaday's trying to figure out how to do this. He's lifted a little bit, if you noticed, at the end of the straightaway, trying to get a run. I don't know if he can do it on his own. I don't think he can.
Well, he better figure it out soon. 2 to go this time. The top 4 single file. They put about 5 car links back there to that group that's 3 and 4 wide.
Around goes Boyer off the bumper of Hamilton, who takes another car into the wall with him.
Now, caution is out. The field is frozen with 2 to go. As long as they maintain caution speed up there, Martin Truex Jr. will be the winner of this race. The field is frozen right now at the point of caution.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. got into the back of the car that went sideways and spinning. And here is Jr. pushing Martin Truex. He may push him all the way to victory lane.
Martin thinks he's got a flat tire. Dale Jr. got him jacked up off the ground.
But one thing for sure, the DEI organization, they have an awesome super speedway program. You can't take nothing away from them.
We'll check on Clint Boyer. Bobby Hamilton Jr. and Tony Raines got right into the middle of that. He was having a top 12 run when he got caught up.
Slow it down, just slow it down. They can't pass you.
Boyer got away.
He got away. He slid all the way down on the inside there, but he got away. The white and the yellow.
White flag. The red flag rule was 5 to go.
Which means that they would not restart the race. See, Hamilton got below the line, and as he came back up, he got into Boyer. And there's Raines in the wall.
Mike Wallace is still going to end up with a 12th place finish, it looks like, even after being involved in that first accident.
Grissom's involved in that in the 36, and Tracy Hines in the 6.
When I watch the 25 car, though, as we watch it again, let's watch this.
That's the red car, bottom of your screen.
3 wide in front of him.
This is through the tri-oval.
Michael in the middle. He gets a run down underneath the Bowyer. He's below the yellow line, and that's the whole point of the yellow line, is to keep us from doing that right there.
I tell you, the saving grace on the 21 car, every time he goes backwards, just look, those roof flaps deploy.
Now watch the first red car in line on the inside. There he goes.
He could have used better judgment there.
Yeah, I mean, there was no room.
Oh, and he took himself out in 3 or 4 more.
Yep, he took Tony Raines, the car behind him in the wall.
Awful.
Tracy Hines sideways, the number 6.
Yeah, the Ragu.
And Steve Grissom.
All the guys that you really pull for to have good finishes, they get taken out on the last lap.
Ride with Jay Keller. Ron Hornaday's crew. See, Hamilton Jr. turned sideways and up in the wall because when he lost his forward momentum after getting Bowyer, he got hit by Nemechek.
And of course, even though it looks like Ron Hornaday will finish 3rd, the crew's reaction was they wanted that lap and a half shot at these guys.
I think that he was going to be a 3rd place car.
The outcome was inevitable, wasn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, once Junior got himself back to Martin, I think that you're right, Darrell, that he's got his owner back there pushing, and it wasn't. You had to pass 2 cars, not 1.
That's
Dale
right.
Jr. was not going to let that happen.
Nope.
And, you know, hey, man, they have built a heck of a team. Junior and Treese have built a great Busch organization.
Let's talk about the Truex family. As Martin Truex Jr. from Ann, New Jersey, gets the win. You've raced against that family for a lot of years up north.
I've raced against his dad. I've never really raced against Martin, and they're just great people. And Martin's a good guy, young kid. And you know, they spotted him at a North race. He was running at Dover and stuff, and that's where it really started. And Barney, his father, just was running him in some limited races. And Junior saw him, liked it, and he says, I think I'll give this guy an opportunity.
You know the irony about Martin Truex winning this race at Talladega? Remember, back at Daytona, Dale Earnhardt Jr. carried the 8 number. They put the 8 number on Martin Truex at Rockingham. They decided to leave it on here. The 8 car goes to victory lane again at a restrictor plate race.
Dick Berggren.
I'm going to try to catch up with his crew chief, Bono Mannion. Bono, congratulations on a big, big day. How did a young rookie like this learn so much as to win here at Talladega right after the big win he had just a little bit earlier?
Just Dale Jr., I think, teaching them. They race on the computer, and Martin's better than him on the computer, and he was better than him today.
And they were talking about that during the race, Mike Joy. They were talking about Talladega BR, which is a computer game, and Junior and Truex were talking back and forth about how to play it, tires and all the rest.
Yeah, on the game, the BR is the initials for the guy who designs the program, and the tires wear out, so they have to go to the top side, and that was their inside lingo to get up top around Robbie earlier.
Okay, so you want to be a big league winning racer? Go get a computer.
Now look at the left side of Truex's car, because it's got donuts all over it, but he didn't get that under the green flag. He got it under this final caution, and he got it from his teammate.
They're having a big old time.
I guess you can't really fire the driver for he owns it.
Welcome back at Talladega from his dad's fishing boat in New Jersey, Martin Truex Jr. Burning out big time. The winner here today, 2nd career Busch Series win at his last 4 races and the first to win more than 1 race this season. Let's check in with Dick Berggren.
And a smiling, happy Dale Earnhardt Jr. I don't think we've ever seen you this happy to finish 2nd. Why are you so happy?
Well, I had a great race car today. The Taco Bell Chevrolet ran great all day. Martin's car was awesome too. Just congratulations to Martin, Bass Pro, and the whole team. I own that car, you know, and I was like, man, look, I told him, I said, if Martin puts himself in a bad position, I'm just going to have to go around him. But if he does a good job, I'll help him all I can. And he did a great job. And when I just kept hitting everybody that was in between me and him, and they jump up out of the way. And sure enough, I got to his bumper, and I pushed him as hard as I could. I had Hornaday behind me. He was pushing and helping us a lot. And just a great finish for Chance 2, and a great run for Richard Childress Racing for 3rd.
And a great job by you. The fans loved it, no doubt. Steve.
Well, Dick, with Ron Hornaday Jr., that was a wild one. I'm curious as to what your game plan would have been if it had stayed green.
I've been doing it. I mean, we had Junior sideways across there. I didn't mean to. I thought we were just bump tagging him. He got sideways, and I think I could have got him, but he would have pushed me under the yellow line, and I couldn't do that. But you know what? You look like a real car guy.
Like a what?
A real car guy.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks, Ron. Thanks, Ron. Let's go to Jeannie.
Well, Kyle Busch, this could have easily have been a disastrous day for you, really, finishing out in the top 25, and look where you stand right now. What was the difference here?
I don't know. It's these Lowe's guys. They did an awesome job today, and you know, Briggs and Stratton on the side this week. We just definitely wanted to make a good showing for them. You know, we had a bad one about 2 weeks ago, but had a lot of fun. We had to make some work on the grill there because we were overheating. We haven't figured that out.
I don't think it's a grill technically anymore.
No, not really. It wouldn't win the pole, that's for sure. But we'll see what we can do here for Daytona. But we got a whole car we can take back, and the Lowe's guys can do an awesome job and get it back together to see what we can do down there.
All right, looking for respect and racking up the top 10s. Matt?
And Martin Truex Jr., for the first time in his career, wins a restricted plate race at Talladega. I don't think there's any beverage left to toss. How big is this win, especially to beat the boss?
Wow, what can I say? To beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Talladega. Wow, man, I'll tell you what, I couldn't have done without him. He just pushed me at the end, and this place is crazy. I had a blast all day just trying to learn, do as much as I could, but it's great just to be able to continue the dominance of Chance 2 here. And I told Junior we busted his streak, but he said, no, we didn't. Chance 2 still won, so that's a pretty awesome deal.
You kept telling me yesterday after final practice, I just can't pass anybody with this car.
Well, I couldn't. I'm telling you, Bono said that he had it fixed up for him this morning, and anytime he tells me that, I believe in him. And every time we have a bad happy hour or I have, you know, doubts about the car, he tells me we're going to be all right. Usually we're good.
How special to win here. You kept saying in the car, I can't believe I've won at Talladega.
It's incredible. First time I've ever been here. Busch Series, Dale Earnhardt Jr. pushed me to the finish. Bass Pro Shops on here. It's incredible, I'll tell you. I can't believe it. It's the biggest day of my race career. I thought Bristol was cool.
Bristol was cool. Talladega's even bigger. His second win of the year, guys.
Truex led 4 times for 29 laps today, ending up in victory lane. 11 leaders, swapped it back and forth 21 times.
You know, as I look at Martin, I think about Maynard Troyer, and I think about Richie Evans, and even you, Spence. I mean, from all you drivers from up north, you modified guys, and you filtrated in down here and making yourself a little home.
Well, I think, you know, Darrell, if you look over the last year, 2 years, even with Casey Kane, everybody, the door is open. If you can drive a race car, you can get the opportunity. You can prove yourself. You have to be in good equipment. Martin was today, and he did a good job.
And guys, we came so close. We made it almost 100 laps of this 117 laps without the big one, but once one broke out, we couldn't stop them. I see a lot of guys that needed a good finish today that got them. Jason Leffler, Kenny Wallace, Mike Wallace, David Green, all in the top 10 or 11.
And Robbie Gordon ended up 7th despite having the best car through much of the early part of the race. Truex jumps to 3rd in the standings. Jimmy Spencer, good luck tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Larry, Darrell, and I will see you tomorrow. We'll do it all over again for 500 miles. Chris?
All right, thanks, guys. And checking the points after 8 of the 34 races in the Busch season, Michael Waltrip still your leader. Robbie Gordon 5th in the points and had a good shot today, Joe.
Yeah, but how about Martin Truex? He moves up to 3rd, and he's going to be a contender for the rest of the season. You can believe that right now. He gets stronger each race, and with the coaching of Dale Earnhardt Jr., this team's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, coming into today's race, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had won the last 5 Busch Series races that he had competed in, including last year's race here, but he was happy as Dale helped push his car across with Martin Truex behind the wheel. What an advantage to have a guy like Jr. kind of giving you advice.
Well, I mean, to me, I think it's almost like what Dale Jr. got from his father a long time ago, and you can't learn from anybody better than Earnhardt when it comes to racing super speedways.
Our full weekend of racing continues starting tomorrow morning. NASCAR this morning. John Roberts and the gang gets you going early. None of the world's best drivers on Fox at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific. That's noon here, Central Time. Aaron's 499 with Ricky Rudd on the pole. In the pre-race show, we'll go 10 laps with Michael Waltrip. Rusty Wallace will join us live. We'll spend some time with the fans in the infield, which ought to be a lot of fun. 11 leaders today. That's the most of any Busch race this season. 21 lead changes, which is also the most. Jeff Hammond, Dale Earnhardt Jr. again in the hunt. We expect him to be there. He's the favorite tomorrow, if not DEI, who would you give a good shot to?
Right now, I've had to look at one of Richard Childress' cars, maybe like Kevin Harvick. You never know.
For all of us here, I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 Eastern on Fox for more NASCAR from Talladega.